For being here with us, and we urge you to go out to vote tomorrow. That's paramount. Make it a must-do thing at the top of your list. Please go out to vote. If you've got questions, go to harrisvotes.com. Go to harrisvotes.com. Look on their go to their website, and you will see a sample ballot if that's what you're looking for. You can find out where the vote centers are. You can find out what's on the sample ballot so it can save you some time. Representative Al Green is going to be joining us here in a few moments. He's just a ways away. And we are going to discuss the 18th District. Of course, we're also going to talk about voting in general, and we're going to talk about the needs of those who live in the 18th District, and you're going to hear from others who've known the representative personally and who are going to speak with. Some will be speaking with him, some will be speaking for him. He's going to take some calls this morning as well. We would remind you, you may be able to ask your question. We are in a time, we are within this hour here, so we ask that you ask your question, and then if a follow-up is called for, then we may be able to do that. But by all means, we want you to ask your question, and then we'll go from there. But the Congressman is going to be here with us. And let me tell you just a little about what this is about. Since we're speaking with the representative, I think it only fair that we should talk about some of what the Congressman does as he serves. Now, in doing this, I'm going to backstep here, so it sounds like I'm thinking out loud here at the moment. I'm adjusting as I go because these are things I think you should know. In doing this, the Congressman continues in a long tradition that has happened on this platform. In our many different iterations, and as technology has grown, we've gone from being KCOH and at one point KCOH TV, and now we find ourselves in digital media at different times for different generations. And he follows up in that tradition. Many of our advertisers have always made it a point that, particularly our political candidates, I'm referring to those, during the last day or on the eve of election, they would always come on and give us a summation of what it's like, for what it's been like. They recap their messages, and they talk about what they desire to achieve in the in their upcoming terms, and so it's a forward-looking conversation. It's also a moment when some have taken to thank the workers and the people who worked on their polls, and to once again remind the voters to go out, to urge the voters to go out and vote. It's an appeal to go out and vote. And please be sure you do that. So you will hear some of that. You will hear some of that this morning. The other thing that you will hear this morning is a brief synopsis. If that's not a contradiction, it may be, though, when I talk about the Congressman's accomplishments. I'll give you an overview. As I said, I'll be informing some of you, and I'll be reminding others of you of Representative Green's status in the House of Representatives to date, and some of the committees and departments and agencies with which he holds sway and has had legislative impact. He currently serves on the Financial Services Committee as well as the Committee on Homeland Security. I wanted to get the financial services part in because almost any race that is taking place in America today hinges to a great degree on the economy, because we talk about the affordability of health care, the availability of food, and the availability of services. He is on the Committee of the Homeland Security. He serves on 2 subcommittees there: Emergency Preparedness, Response and Recovery, and Border Security, because we do know that in Texas, flooding and infrastructure are a vital part of our conversation and in our daily lives. So wanted to give you that background as we proceed into conversation with Representative Alexander Green. How are you, sir?
I am much better than I deserve. I have the gift of life. I didn't earn it, and I always try to make the very best of it. It's a blessing to have the gift of life, the greatest gift in all of the universe.
Absolutely.
And we have it. And I'm honored to be on your program, and I greatly appreciate the many things that you've said. I think it is important for me to say to people who I am, because I think people have heard about me and they've read about me, but I'm the guy who is a faithful fighter who finishes. Faithful. And I have been faithful. I could have run for the Senate. I could have run for Attorney General. I could have run for governor, lieutenant governor, but I want to be your congressman. I've not wanted to be anything other than the congressman. And as such, being faithful, we have been able to deliver quite a few things that are very important. And I'm saying that politely. 3 federal judges, that's pretty important given the way federal judges impact our lives. 3 of them: Al Bennett, Greg Costa, George Hanks. Also, it's pretty important to deal with flooding in Houston. $100 million. $100 million, it's slightly more than that, but $100 million for flooding in Houston, Texas. And then if you're concerned about things like health care, I'm one of the 40 persons who co-sponsored Obamacare. I was there to help push Obamacare through Congress. I know Obamacare because I was a part of the fashioning and shaping of it. I'm also the congressman who is not your typical congressman. I'm not an establishment congressman, because I'm the congressman who brought Slavery Remembrance Day to the Congress and got it passed in a House of Representatives that didn't want to pass it. You got to get 218 votes to pass things in the House. There are not 218 black people in the House of Representatives, but we got slavery remembrance. And people have to understand the importance of just that piece of legislation alone. Our forefathers, our foreparents, our foremothers, they, for 240 years, worked without a paycheck. Their lives were sacrificed to make America the country it is today. They have not been honored. We have honored Pearl Harbor remembrance. We've honored 9/11 remembrance. We have a Holocaust remembrance, but we don't have our commemoration day honored to the same extent. And this is not a paid holiday.
Sure. Right.
This is not.
Right.
This is so that we can honor the people whose lives were sacrificed. So these are some of the things that we've done, and there are many, many more. I've given you a booklet of them, and you'll find in this more than $20 billion worth of things that we've done since we've been in Congress. So I want people to understand that I haven't just been in Congress. I've been a faithful fighter who finishes. And here's the point on the finishing. By staying and finishing, there are people who want to remove the faithful fighter who finishes. And if you can do that by simply having that person voted out of office, you send a message to other people who would be faithful. You send a message. They're right now trying to get Maxine Waters out, Jim Clyburn out, the other persons who have been faithful, who've stayed on the job, who've been there through the thick and the thin. So if you can do this to an Al Green, you can send a message to the others. Don't pick up slavery remembrance. That's not anything that you should be concerned with. Don't think that your people will appreciate you for federal judges, or for $10 billion to help small businesses, or $9 billion to help small banks. They won't appreciate that. They won't. And when they can do that and send that message, you'll have more people becoming establishment candidates. I am not the establishment's candidate. I confess, I'm not. I have been the people's candidate. And the reward that they would have me be for being the people's candidate is to be voted out of office.
What do you say to the people who say, well, listen, what about the line of succession? What about organizing so that there is a younger generation? I mean, because inevitably, as I've heard you say many times, people do die. No matter who they are,
Yes.
they do die. I mean, that's a reality. How is the Democratic Party prepared for, or in your own case, if you personalize it, for succession? How do we groom other people? How does that happen?
Well, I think that's a very fair question. And a very fair question has to be put to both candidates. You can't put the fair question to one candidate and say, well, that's a fair question. So you have to ask yourself, what has his successor done to groom somebody to fill the office?
Sure.
You can look and see nothing, absolutely zero. But that question is only put to me. It's not put to him. If it's going to be a fair question, my opponent has to answer that question too. What have you done to have someone succeed you? By the way, I'm a faithful fighter who finishes. I'm not a job hopper. I don't just get elected and then decide I'm going to run for something else. So here's what I've done. I have young people who work in the congressional office. One of the persons who worked in our office is now Mayor Pro Tem in Stafford, Texas. We have young people who work in our office. They get a first-hand experience. Most of the people in my office are under 40 years of age. So we give people first-hand opportunities. We have people who come in and work in the office as summer employees, and I say employees rather than some other terms that can be used, because we treat them like employees. We pay them a wage of $15 an hour. We don't have them come in and work for nothing. These are college students that come in. So yes, we're about the business of bringing along another generation of people. But ultimately, when it comes to this notion of passing the torch, the people decide. No person holding office ought to be able to say, that's the person who's going to succeed me. The people have a voice in this. This is government of the people, by the people. And if it's going to be for the people, then the people have to make a choice. But when we do this, let's be, I don't mind answering the question.
Yeah,
but I've not heard.
Because it is a fair
it's a
question.
legitimate question.
Yeah,
but
sure.
it's not put to my, if he came here, I'm sure you would do it.
Oh, absolutely.
But those things are not required of the opponent, because if you look now, you remember he just left that office. Left it. Got elected, and then decided to run for something else. I've been there for 20 years, faithfully fighting, protecting, and delivering. 20 years.
And that too is a fair observation, I might add. So yes, as you know, when you listen over here, this is an ongoing conversation in the community. Given how we have seen the changes in politics, we've seen how it opened the door, how health and illness, things over which we have no control, can open the door, and then political operatives come in. So the question has been a particular part of discussions around the 18th, because they went for so long. I think 3 years or more, perhaps around 3 years. You can help me with that. Around the machinations that happened around that, around the 18th district, and then redistricting, and then the governor delaying the election. So people our callers have had succession on their mind.
Well, I think that's a fair question.
Yeah,
listen, I'm prepared to. I don't say to anybody that's interviewing me, only ask these questions.
Sure.
No, I think it was a fair question,
sure.
and that you've given me an opportunity to explain how to make it an even more fair question by making sure that the guy who just got elected decided he's going to run for another position. In 4 years or 8 years, there might be a Senate seat available. What happens then? You want somebody who's going to be faithful. The people who are faithful, who stay in these positions, are the people who can deliver over the long haul. Because much of what we do takes more than one term to get done, more than 2 terms to get done. It takes time to bring things to fruition. It took us almost 100 years to get Obamacare.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
And I'm one of the 40 people who co-sponsored it.
What have you been hearing on the campaign trail? Let's swing it now to the campaign as we come into the closing days ahead of this tomorrow's election day. We will remind people of that. What are you hearing out there from the people?
Well, first, you need to know that I am among the people. I go to McDonald's. I eat at various restaurants where people are there, and I get to visit with them. I shop in the stores myself. I don't have someone who goes out.
I know you go to Walgreens because there's a young lady told me that this morning.
Yeah, I don't have somebody who goes out and does my shopping. I don't Uber things into me. Yeah. So I'm out among the people. Now, here's why I want to mention this. Because when you're out there, people approach you. Yes. And honestly, if the people who say they voted for me have really voted for me, I'm going to run away with it. Okay. So I see people and they tell me, "Oh, I voted for you. Yeah. Let's take a picture." And I'm always honored to be among people. It means something to me. But here's what's happening as I see it. The turnout is very low.
Sure.
The weather is unpredictable. Yes. It was prognosticated that we'd have a rainy day tomorrow. Now it looks like we'll have a sunny day tomorrow. Sometimes that even can change in 24 hours.
Sure.
But in a low turnout election, it really becomes about whether the people that have voted for you before will vote for you again, and will they come back to the polls. If the people that have been voting with me and know me will return to the polls, we will absolutely win, and I believe that they will, because I believe that they appreciate someone who's been faithful. I just believe that. So I think we're going to win, but it is a low turnout election, a very low turnout election. You're talking about just maybe 20,000, 30,000 people. I don't know. It's hard to say, but we won't have a lot of people voting. So I'm telling everybody, please go to vote tomorrow. It's the last day to vote. You can go from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You have to go now to the voting place in your precinct to vote. So be sure to start looking now for that place in your precinct where you can vote.
And you can do that by going to harrisvotes.com and go to voting centers, and it'll tell you. It'll tell you where you can vote.
Absolutely.
You can also take a look at your sample ballot, right?
Absolutely. And by the way, if you have some disability, they will bring the voting technology to your car, and you can vote from the car that you are in. So there's a way of helping you with this in that fashion. But I just beseech you to do it between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. because they do close the lines. If you're in line at 7, then you'll have an opportunity to vote. But if you come after 7, they will have a last person in line at 7 o'clock, and then the people who are after that person won't have the opportunity to vote. So please, your vote, this is one of those times too, Paris, where your vote will make a difference, because with just a few people voting, your vote becomes big.
Yes. It certainly does. We are the source. I'm here speaking with Representative Al Green, and you are going to, let's go on with your agenda. I know you've got some people who want to call in. People are calling in here.
I welcome the calls.
Let's talk a little about some of your legislation. I mentioned earlier, because it was mentioned to me, about finance. I heard a commentator say this morning that, well, in Texas there's quite a contest going on, and it's taking more of national proportions now. They were referring to food price, gas availability, health care, and the like. But I was thinking to myself, well, it's actually kind of like the country is more national now, because we're all looking at more local issues. So no matter where you live, the economy is going to affect you. That comes to mind because I don't know all of the details about I think you had a bill called 166. Am I right about
HR
that?
166.
Financial HR 166.
Fair lending for all.
Yeah, fair lending. Because in the conversations, I was reading about housing, and in the response that people were giving to their concerns, I was reading about housing, and banking practices were lending were involved. Can you relate to the people the relevance of the communities, of the agencies that you serve on, of the committees that you serve on, pardon me?
Yes.
Relate to them, their relevance to daily life.
Yes, I can. And here again, this is where I'm not a conventional candidate. H.R. 166 is a historic piece of legislation that we were able to pass through the House of Representatives under the leadership of the Honorable Maxine Waters. And by the way, I've passed many pieces of legislation that have not surfaced with my name on them because we put them in appropriation bills. There are 12 of those bills, and John Lewis taught me that if you put your legislation that has your name on it in that bill, that appropriations bill, it's going to pass Congress. Now, it won't come out on the other end with your name on it, but it will be in the bill that passes. And if you do enough researching, then you can find it. So we have a lot of that. But H.R. 166, here's why it's historic. The problem that people of color have in this country is accessing capital. That's the problem. I mean, look, we're going to have all of the other problems. But we have all of the other problems, and we don't have money. We need to have the same access to capital that other people have. If we can get the same access to capital that other people have, it will change poverty. Right now, African American poverty is, generally speaking, twice that of the poverty of Anglos. African American unemployment, generally speaking, consistently over the decades, twice that of Anglo unemployment. Well, all of these things are symptoms. Those are symptoms, and we have to treat the symptoms. So when it comes to unemployment, we want to make sure people get hired, yes, and when it comes to other aspects of your daily life in terms of buying food and that sort of thing, we want to get the prices where you can afford them. But the symptoms are treated when we see poverty as something that we can generalize and say it impacts everybody the same way, because it doesn't. It has a greater impact on people who don't have access to capital. We can't matriculate through the system and get that capital like others can. So here's how H.R. 166 helps. I was the chairperson of Oversight and Investigations. I'll be the chairperson again when we take back the House. As the chairperson, I brought in the biggest banks in the country, and we questioned them about their lending practices. And it is true, friends, that people of color can go in to get a loan and pay more for that loan, meaning points. That's how much you pay to get the loan itself. You will get less money, and you have terms that are more onerous than an Anglo who is less qualified. Now, if we can solve that problem alone, you can get what are called bootstraps. Bootstraps in those banks. Other people go to the banks and get their bootstraps. We've got to be able to go to the bank and get our bootstraps too. So H.R. 166 does for the person who's borrowing money what the banks can do to the person it is lending money to. If you defraud the bank, you can be fined up to $1 million and you can go to jail. Well, I have also made it possible now, if the bank defrauds you or denies you a loan that you're entitled to, then you can file charges against the bank, an employee, and that person can be penalized and go to jail and pay a fine. So, but by the way, it applies to everybody. It's not just for black people.
Okay.
If an Anglo person is discriminated against, then that person can have the same opportunity to sue. We can deal with this invidious discrimination. Invidious means harmful.
Yes.
This harmful discrimination, because all discrimination is not harmful. This invidious, harmful discrimination, we just have to have the will. We passed this bill through the House. Now, why is this bill so important for us to get through the Senate and get it signed? Because when you get ready to get a home, you're going to have that loan that you have to deal with through a bank, usually. If you buy a car, if you're going to buy goods and services, something that you want to purchase, you get a loan. In this country, it's almost un-American not to have credit. Well, credit is something that we just don't have equal access to the same extent as other people. Now, how do you know this, Al Green? Because when I was the chairperson of the committee, we looked at what is called paired testing. This paired testing means that you get people that you select yourself, and you send those 3 people out, and the African American person be most qualified, and have 2 Anglos who are less qualified. Anglos who are less qualified get better loans on better terms than well-qualified African Americans. And if you're listening to this radio program this morning and you bought something on credit, there's a good likelihood that it happened to you and you couldn't prove it. Well, we are now moving into the arena where we can prove this, and this will help people. So yes, I sit on the committee that deals with that, and I've been proud to do it. But I can tell you this, if I hadn't been there, it wouldn't be done because I'm unconventional. I'm not your typical congressperson when it comes to my legislative agenda. I have something called the conscious agenda, and the conscious agenda includes reparations. We want reparations. I have legislation for a Department of Reconciliation to deal with the whole question of reparations. We got to get us a president and a Congress who will pass the legislation. So I put the vehicle in place, but now we have to power the vehicle, and that's to get it passed through Congress. But this is unconventional stuff, and that's the kind of guy I am. I'm not your typical establishment congressman who's going to talk about all of the things that I will do. I can talk about the things I have done. I'm running on a record, not rhetoric, not a promise of doing everything when I've done nothing. If you've done nothing, you can promise the world. But until you have to fly that plane, you don't realize how difficult it is to do.
All right, let's go to the phones. We've got some callers who
Let's do it.
interact with you this morning. Good morning, caller. You're on with Representative Al Green. How are you?
Yes, Representative Green.
Yes, sir.
You don't know me from the moon, but the first time I saw you, you was just a justice of the peace.
Yes, sir.
When I'm looking at, actually, when I in Missouri City, when I came to the courthouse, I thought it was going to be a white judge, right? I looked at that and saw you. I said, oh, man, don't look good. But anyway, the next time I saw you, you were bringing in Nancy Pelosi to the powerhouse. And you took a picture, you said, well, get back with me, we're going to get the pictures. And so I never did get my picture. The next time I saw you, you were with your sister down in Freeport. They call it the LPG project. You and your sister had brought a bunch of money to Texas so we could build an LPG project. You probably don't remember that. They had 3,000 jobs. And they had people coming all down from the valley, from Mexico, and all come. They had 3,000 employees. It was about 30 of us was people of color. But when you and your sister Jackson came down there, they said, welcome to the people who brought in the money to Texas for the LPG project. Man, I was making over $10,000 a month. Thank you, Congressman Green. So I'm glad you don't have to go back and go through the orientation in Washington to try to figure out how to get something done. So Congressman, thank you, sir.
Well, I thank you very much. And when you say my sister, I assume you're talking about the Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee.
Well, you know
yes.
you know yes. You your sister.
Yeah, she and I worked very well together. We got a lot of things done. We fought to have this 18th congressional district. It would not exist but for Jackson Lee and Al Green and how we have fought for almost 2 decades together to get the 18th and protect these seats. And I'm still fighting to protect them. I have spent probably over $100,000 just fighting to protect these seats with litigation in court, and we've won some cases in court. We have to protect the 18th and 9th congressional districts. And of course, you know that 18 is now majority 9. Most of the people in the 18th are from the 9th congressional district. And look, I'm going to represent all of the people. I'm not going to get into this thing of ageism where only some people are going to be represented. And you mentioned young people and what am I going to do for them. I'll get to that if you want me to later. I see we got some calls, but I just want you to know, I believe that yes, Pell Grants are great, but college education ought to be free, not affordable. It ought to be free. This notion of affordability is good for some things, but when it comes to education, you shouldn't, for the next 10 years after you graduate, be saddled with a loan that you can barely pay and then try to build a life for yourself. So I think college education ought to be free. Healthcare in the richest country in the world ought to be such that if you get sick, you go to the doctor and you get treated. It shouldn't be based upon wealth. That becomes wealth care. Health care should never be wealth care in the richest country in the world. People who live in the suites of life, they don't worry about health care. Well, people who live in the streets of life shouldn't worry about it either. It should be the same for people from the streets to the suites.
All right, I want to say to that last caller, that's one of our favorite Marines around here. His name is Bobby Ray Tyrone. Thank you so much, and a pleasant Memorial Day weekend for you, Bobby Ray. And we know you and your code Semper Fi. So let's go to another caller. Hello, caller, you're on.
Absolutely, my man. And it is indeed a privilege to once again talk to Congressman Al Green. And if anybody listening to the show on YouTube and on what we listen to right now, KCOA, he is a man that's for real. Believe me, if you do not re-elect Al Green to the 18th Congressional District, you have an IQ -0 because he is advantageous to all of us. And I know personally because I've worked with Congressman Al Green when he was a Justice of the Peace and Congressman Green, this is former Captain Spivey.
Yes, sir.
Precinct 7 under Constable A.B.
Oh,
Chapman.
yes. Thank you, Officer Spivey. I remember.
Highly respect this man. And you must vote for him. I can give you all kind of accolades, but let me tell you, he has my highest respect, and with his knowledge, you have to remember the basics of all knowledge. It is power, and you cannot afford to hire an apprentice in waiting to accomplish and acquire all the knowledge that Congressman Green, because he is an asset to our community. Do not cut off your nose to spite your face. Thank you. I don't want to take too much of your time, Congressman Green. You need to listen to other people. I'm just telling you right now, Ricky Spivey is endorsing him. I've already mailed in my vote because I'm his age. You understand? And all this talk about where he's older and all that stuff. Read your history book. Anytime our civilizations all over the world has gotten into any pickle or problem, who they tell you to go address to help you solve this problem? Our elders. I'm through.
All right.
Well, thank you, Officer Spivey. I greatly appreciate your call. And I did work with Officer Spivey for many years in the constable's office. He was a loyal, faithful worker in the constable's office.
Okay, very good, very good. Good to hear from you, Officer Spivey. All right, let's go to let's go to another caller. Good morning, caller. You're on with Congressman Al Green.
Good morning, Congressman. Look, first of all, some of these young politicians, they don't know what they don't know. My only question for you is, where is the victory party tomorrow?
Well, it will be at the Fountain Life Center. That's out off of South Main and right at Fondren. And we welcome all people of goodwill. And I have to say all people of goodwill because given the times that we live in, there are some people of ill will. And I know because I get the threats. And I promise you we're going to have a lot of security there at that event. So if you're not of goodwill, I want you to know that we plan to be prepared. This is going to be an opportunity for me to get to know some new people, to have an opportunity to hear about some of the concerns that you have as well. So it won't be just an election watch party. When I'm with people, they usually call things to my attention that are important. So I welcome you and all people of goodwill. Please come.
That's good to know. And your host there, Paris Eley, has taught me the power of positive thinking.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a good one, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Any comments?
Well, I just want people to know that I will be there and look forward to seeing those who would come. And we will, I assure you, we plan to have a very festive event.
All right, we thank you so much. Good morning, caller. You're on.
Hey, good morning, Paris. Good morning, Representative Green.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. First of all, I want to thank you for your service, for all you have done over the years, and you represented the state of Texas and the people of this Harris County and Houston, Texas. Representative Green,
Yes, sir.
you stand up against the President of the United States with all the corruption that he's inflicted on this country in the last 2 years. What's the first order of business when re-election comes for yourself? What would we as a people look forward to come January?
Well, before January, you're likely to look forward to this, and that is articles of impeachment. The president violates the Constitution. When you violate the Constitution, we have a means by which we have redress. That redress is impeachment. Impeachment is something that takes place in the House of Representatives. I'm in the House of Representatives. Any one member of Congress can bring articles of impeachment. We are all empowered to do this, all of us. I will bring articles of impeachment against him. What the president is doing with this war is impeachable. To take some 300 plus million people to war by himself. No consulting with the Congress. He should consult with us. Now he wants us to pay for the war. He's used munitions to the extent that we are not as strong as we used to be as a nation. And now he wants us to restock. Well, you're going to have to come to Congress for that. And I'm going to say this here right now, and I'll say it any place else. I'm not sending any more money to Israel. I'm not sending more money to Israel. What Israel did in Gaza under the leadership of Netanyahu is sinful. It is also collective punishment. It is also ethnic cleansing. It is what it is. It's genocide. And we have to have the courage to say that. By the way, those words will never come out of my opponent's mouth. He cannot say genocide. He can't, because the people who fund his campaign, they're not going to allow that. Well, I'm my own person. I'm unbought, unbossed, unafraid. So I'm gonna make sure that we have a proper defense. But I've already sent the Speaker of the House a letter and told him that I will not vote for any additional funds to go to Israel, given the genocide that took place. Netanyahu's a war criminal. He needs to be prosecuted. Injustice anywhere is still a threat to justice everywhere. Dr. King was right. And I am not going to represent you well if I don't tell the truth about the things that are happening that I am very much aware of. So there's a good likelihood that I'll be filing additional articles of impeachment against this president. I'll lay the foundation. It may not go through on when I file them, but the foundation will be there so that other people can follow and get it done. I've done it before, and I'll do it again.
Good morning, caller. You're on. We're speaking with Representative Al Green, and yeah, we're going to come back to this. You're filing impeachment. I want to drill down on that a little. Hello, caller. You're on with Representative Green.
Yes, sir. Good morning to Representative the Honorable Al Green, sir.
Good morning, sir.
And your record is definitely impeccable. You are a tireless worker for the congressional district in Harris County and for the United States, and I appreciate with the opportunity in my lifetime to see your work along with people like Congressman Lee doing their thing out there. But my question is being the situation, and if you were able to win, and of course nothing lasts forever, what is the situation going to be as far as mentoring someone, or is there any type of policy for a person that will be replacing you in your seat? Do you guys have any type of way of, getting the next man up, training them, and showing them how to do things to work for the people the way you have done?
Yes, sir. Fair question. I believe that ultimately the people decide. That's the first point that has to be made. It's always the decision of the people. While I can endorse or I can support, the people decide. And one of the ways that I have helped to groom people is to have people in the congressional office who are young, Most of the people in the congressional office are under 40 years of age. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And I know that the overwhelming majority of them are under 50 years of age. So we groom people in this fashion. And we've had people to go on and run for elective office. And we have one person who's currently holding elective office in Stafford, Texas. But I think also that there are people who are grooming themselves. And I never say to people don't run. But there are many people who are grooming themselves right now who would want to run. And I think the people ultimately will have a choice. And one of the things that you have to be careful about when you hold these offices, and this is really important, I really want to emphasize this, is about saying that you're only going to run one more time or two more times. The minute you do that, you become a lame duck. And once you become a lame duck, the bills, the things that are going to take years to get done, they're not going to come your way because you're not going to be there to push them through to fruition. So you have to be careful about saying, well, if you just give me one more term, well, that'll be one more term without your being efficacious because you're a lame duck. So I'm grooming people, but I'm not recommending anybody at this time.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds a little. It's not a great bargaining position.
No.
It's not great. It's like we wait you out. We were sort of seeing that, seeing what happens when you lay all your cards on the table. We're seeing that in Iran right now, as a matter of fact.
That's
it's
right.
Not a great negotiating strategy. All right. Hello, caller. You're on.
Good morning, Congressman Green. Good
Yes,
morning,
sir.
Paris.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Hey, and, I often hear people say that, people don't come talk to them. I'm in the 9th Congressional District out here in Fort Bend County of Houston. And I know Representative Al Green always have town hall meetings and stuff. So it's time for us to participate and re-elect somebody who's representing us. Oftentimes, we talk about politicians who are not doing anything, not coming back to talk to us. He comes back to the community and talks to the community and talks to his constituency. So, and as Bobby Ray Tyrone illustrated earlier, some stuff you don't even see that's going on, but it's happening. And it's for the benefit of the whole region, not just the 9th Congressional District. Because I don't think you have the 9th Congressional District down in Freeport, right?
No, sir.
But you advocated with the Texas delegation to get the funding back to Texas, right?
Yes, sir.
So and you worked across party lines to get that done, because I think that's a Republican district down there, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And also across party lines to get those 3 federal judges. By the way, Al Bennett is an African American. George Hanks is an African American. They have lifetime appointments. Lifetime.
And they are fact-finding judges,
yes,
right?
Sir. Yes, sir. Are you a lawyer?
No, I'm not. I'm just a homeowners president out here in Houston, Fort Bend.
Well, but that's eminently correct. They're not appellate judges. No, sir.
Yeah. And so oftentimes they are very important, because even when the Supreme Court or the appeal court do something, sometimes they make a decision not even based on the facts, like what we're experiencing in recent times. So that's something else we need to look at, Judge, going forward, as well as criminal justice reform.
Yes, sir. I absolutely agree. We have to pass George Floyd Justice in Policing.
Yes, sir.
We have to pass John Lewis voting rights. And
yes, sir.
If we had passed those things, Trump would not be president.
Thank you, sir.
Here is the autopsy report. There's a lot of talk about the autopsy report. Well, here's what happened. We made a deal with the voting public. We said that if you elect us and so that we have the House, the Senate, and the presidency, we will pass John Lewis Voting Rights Act, George Floyd Justice in Policing, the PRO Act, which is for labor. We will deal with comprehensive immigration reform. We will raise the minimum wage. Well, we got all of those, the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and we passed John Lewis in the House of Representatives. It went to the Senate, and 2 senators killed it, Manchin and Sinema. 2 senators. And we have to tell the truth. And somehow it looks like they're trying to revive Manchin now. I've heard him on many programs here lately. He's becoming independent. But Manchin and Sinema are the reason John Lewis Voting Rights Act didn't get through the Senate. Because I have to digress for a second, when there was a need to get Gorsuch on the Supreme Court, they couldn't get the 60 votes to do what's called cloture. We have a rule in the Senate that says if you want to vote on something and pass it with 51 votes, first you have to close the debate with getting 60 votes. Well, they couldn't get cloture. And when they could not get cloture, they changed the rules to put Gorsuch on the Supreme Court. He never got 60 votes. I think he got something like 54 votes, 53, 54. What they did was, very simply this, when his name came up for consideration, the person who had that name up said, I would move, not in these exact words, but I would move that we pass this on this with a majority vote. And the person who's presiding said, no, you have to have 60, that's the rule. 60 votes to cloture. And the person said, I appeal the ruling of the chair. And when you appeal the ruling of the chair, if you win, then you don't have to do it with 60 votes. Well, guess what? To win that, you only need 51 votes. So they changed the rules with 51 votes, and they put Gorsuch on the Supreme Court. Tried to do the same thing with John Lewis voting rights and could not get Manchin and Sinema on board. If they had come on board, we would have passed it. Yes. We would have pre-clearance again. We would have the opportunity to have voting by mail. I mean, all of these things that are so important to us. Same-day registration, all of these things would be considered. But 2 senators. So when we did not do that and didn't pass the PRO Act, we didn't raise the minimum wage, the things that we told people we were going to do, yes, people became less enthusiastic about us, about the Congress. They did, because we made a promise and we didn't keep it. And I think we have to confess that, and then we can move on. But people want to know that, yeah, you confessed that you did wrong. Now let's talk about what you're going to do right. But until we do that, it's difficult to move on. And I absolutely say to you that I voted for John Lewis. I voted for George Floyd, Justice in Policing. I voted for the PRO Act. I voted for to raise the minimum wage, and I have a bill to raise it not to $10 an hour, it's $7.25 now, not to $15 an hour, not to $20 an hour. My bill raises the minimum wage to $25 an hour, something that you can live on, and that's why it's called a living wage. And we index it, Paris. Index means to tie.
Right.
We index it to poverty, a formula with poverty in it, so that when poverty rate is up, the minimum wage goes up. Okay, so we don't find ourselves going a decade without raising the minimum wage again. $7.25 an hour is a nouveau slave wage. That's what it is.
Yeah. Senator Elizabeth Warren also points that out, that it should have been indexed a long time ago.
Yes, indexed.
Yes. All right, we've got another caller. Good morning, caller. You're on. How are you? Hello, caller.
Good morning.
Hey.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Better than I deserve.
Oh, Congressman, there's a lot of negative talk about voting, period. It is coming out of our community. I want you to expound in whatever way you feel about this notion of protesting the vote by not voting. And I want you to speak to what leverage means. I've been in politics 20 years. I understand it. I understand this power game. And the whole point of redistricting in Texas was to get Al Green out of Congress. And what that means, please speak to leverage, seniority, and relationships. That's how it works. You didn't make the rules. I didn't make the rules, but that's what it is. Please, sir, speak to that.
Well, thank you. Let's start with the notion of seniority, experience, the relationships. If you come into Congress now, you're going to be 400 and something in line. There are 435 of us, so I'm not going to say you'll be 435. If you're the last person in, you will be. You'll be 435 in Congress. When I came in, I was 400 plus, and it took years for me to get into the top 50. This years of being there and getting into the top 50 means that you get the opportunity to have a greater selective opportunity when it comes to moving to another position in Congress. You're first in line in many cases, and there is a line. So now the person who comes in right now, and you're 400 and something, if I should leave, you don't get my position, there are people already in line for the position. And if the person who's next up doesn't choose to do it, then there's a person behind that person. So seniority is the means by which you move up. And there are some people who would want to destroy the seniority system. These are the crypto people. The cryptocurrency people are trying their best to destroy seniority. Why? Because seniority is what allowed Maxine Waters to become a full chairperson, full committee chair. Benny Thompson to become a full committee chair. They become full committee chairs because they were the next person in line. Eliminate seniority and money will rule. The crypto people will rule. When money rules, we will lose because everybody's going to try to find them a billionaire who's going to help them to win campaigns. And when that happens, so that they can then move up, then our issues will become secondary, probably tertiary or quaternary. They will not be primary. Because the crypto people, they don't care about what's happening to you in your daily lives. I'm going to give you the perfect example, and then I'm going to go to the other part of your question, but I need to give you this example. We have a housing bill pending right now. The crypto people want to have some language put in a housing bill that will allow them to transfer money without it being actually known about, so that they can do various and sundry things. Some people would say they may want to evade taxes by being able to do it. They may want to put money in a terrorist organization undetected. Well, they put that in a housing bill. They have this language in a housing bill, to the language that they can use to escape notice in a housing bill, and they hold up the housing bill because they can't get what they want for cryptocurrency. I fight that. They want to have the ability to take the millions and billions of dollars and just move them around freely, undetected, and do all sorts of things. Some of those things could be dastardly deeds that can hurt people. So I'm opposed to it. Now, in terms of voting, this is important. You know, the right to vote is not something that people gladly conferred on us. And I say conferred because they had the power. They didn't just say, wow, you know, we really need to make sure black people have the right to vote. If that were the case, we wouldn't have been enslaved and denied the right to vote. If that were the case, we wouldn't have had convict leasing and black codes and all of these jelly beans in a jar tests for the right to vote. People have been trying to deny us this right to vote because the right to vote is the right to influence the power structure in the country. It's the means by which you can have some say as to who's going to represent you in the halls of power. Congress is a hall of power. The Senate is a power center in this country. So this right to vote is so important for us to exercise and use. People have lived and died to get it. Do I have to go through Schwerner, Goodman, and Cheney, tell you all about who they were? These were people down trying to register people to vote when they were killed, murdered. What happened to Medgar Evers at his home, shot, killed, NAACP representative, a part of the right to vote movement. History is replete with stories of people like John Shalede in Austin, Texas, NAACP field rep. He was beaten, and the sheriff was a part of the people who beat him up, and he died. So sure. There are just many stories about this right to vote. So when I think of it, I think of voting not for myself, not for the people who are living in this generation. I see myself voting for every one of those persons whose lives were sacrificed. So I'm going to be voting. I'm going to be voting for Schwerner, Goodman, and Cheney. I'm going to be voting for John Shalede. I'm going to vote for all of the many people who died so that we could get this right to vote. And I encourage other people to put aside your belief that my vote doesn't count. Because if your vote counted properly, you wouldn't have this big, beautiful steal of a bill. It passed in Congress by one vote in the House of Representatives. That's one vote. So one vote can make a difference. It's making a difference in your lives right now.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, caller. We've got 3 other callers on.
I'm ready.
And we're going to take them right now. Go ahead, please. Hello, caller. You're on. Hello. Hello, caller. You're on.
Hello, Paris.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I want to say good morning to the Congressman.
Good morning.
He's here.
Yes, ma'am.
Good, okay, good morning. I want to say, first of all, I think you are a heavyweight, and I hope and pray that you knock this race out the park, okay?
Thank you.
And the other thing is, I want to say before I hang up, is that everywhere I go, I encourage everybody to vote for you, okay? And God bless you. Bye-bye.
It's important at this time because, friends, there are people that don't know there's an election taking place. I was out yesterday knocking on doors, literally going from house to house, and I encountered a good many people yesterday who didn't know that tomorrow we'll be voting. I also want you to know that one of the persons that I encountered, Paris, was a person who said to me, this is a true story. She said, this is my daughter. She's in the 10th grade, and I want her to go to college. She said, but I can't afford it. She said, I'm still trying to pay off my college loans. And when I told her that my position was that college ought to be free, not affordable, free. There's a difference between affordable and free. Affordable means something's going to come out of your pocket, and you may not have that something. But free means if you graduate from high school, there ought to be the next level. It's sort of like when you graduate from elementary school. There's no question about whether you can go to high school. You're going to have to pay to get into high school. College is just another level in the process, and it ought to be free in the richest country in the world. It should be free, country where people make billions of dollars a year.
All right, looks like we're going to have our last caller. Caller, you're on with Representative Al Green.
Good morning, Congressman Al Green. Good morning to you, good brother.
Good morning, sir.
One voice with courage makes a majority, and you definitely have the courage. And I'm out here campaigning for you and voting for you. We thank you for having the courage to put your name on the ballot and take the fight to them. See, you are not a soldier. You are a warrior. See, soldiers are told to fight. Warriors know to fight without being told. And thank you for your courage. You got my support. You got my vote. I do live in your district. And you left off the Edmonds Pettis Bridge because those people
sir.
That took a beating
Yes,
for this
sir.
vote. And one thing I can say,
Yes, sir.
the most valuable thing we have is our vote. If it wasn't valuable, then why would the Koch brothers and others be spending so much money to deny us their right to vote? They want y'all to have everything else except your vote.
Yes,
they
sir.
would take your house and everything. They want you to have your house and everything. They just don't want your vote is the most important thing that you have that these good white racist people want. Or they will be spending all these millions of dollars to deny us their vote. And that wicked governor we have, he also don't want to have a hand in this with the redistricting because that one vote that passed that big brutal bill. That's because we didn't have the congressperson
Yes, sir.
and Congress just 18th who would have made the difference. And Greg Abbott had a hand in it. Keep doing what you're doing, good brother. Take the fight to him. You got my support. You got my vote. I'm taking as many as I can to the polls tomorrow to vote to keep you up there doing what you do, taking care of the people's business.
All right.
Thank you. I have to comment on the Edmund Pettis Bridge. The brother is so correct. Sir, John Lewis and I were friends. We talked about the Edmund Pettis Bridge when we were locked up. We went to jail for protesting multiple times. And while we were there, we talked about it. He told me he thought he was going to die on that bridge. When I talk about it, I get tears that well in my eyes because I saw in him what happened to him. So this is not something I read.
Yes.
I had the man to tell me himself
Sure.
about how they beat them all the way back to Brown Chapel where they started. They started at a church.
Yes.
Peaceful people
Yeah.
simply wanting to walk from one place to another.
Yes.
And they beat them all the way back to the place where they started. And that's how we got the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Lyndon Johnson couldn't pass it without the Edmund Pettis Bridge. No Edmund Pettis Bridge, no Voting Rights Act of 65. It may have gotten it at some point, but it wouldn't have gotten it then. Wouldn't have gotten it. So when people talk about these things, we've got to remember, when he signed that Voting Rights Act, he signed it in ink, but it was written with John Lewis's blood.
Very good.
The blood of those people on the Edmund Pettis Bridge. And when you think about public housing, you need to know it was because Dr. King died that that bill passed. That bill would never have passed without Dr. King's death. That's how you got this housing laws. That's how these public housing properties used to be segregated.
And tomorrow we get a chance, another opportunity to indulge that great tradition that helped bring that change about. Tomorrow here in Houston, we get to vote. It's election day. You're on the ballot. I want you to tell people about the election day tomorrow and urge them out to vote. And I want to be sure that you get the opportunity to say all that you can about tissue. All that to alert people about voting, and I want to be sure you get your message in here.
I appreciate it, as I said, when I talk about these things, they're not in the abstract for me.
I understand.
I drank from colored water fountains in my lifetime.
Yes, yeah.
I went to the back door.
Yeah.
You know,
So did I.
I mean, that some of us, you know, we appreciate
Yeah.
the shoulders we stand on.
Yeah.
We respect
Yeah.
the elders who made it possible for us to have these opportunities. Sometimes I think we get these opportunities just because we're so smart. It's because somebody had to find out what a 90-pound German Shepherd bites like. Somebody had to find out what a high-pressure water hose stings like. Find out what losing a loved one, as Merle Evers did, to a cause hurts like. I mean, these were hard-won, hard-fought battles that got us to where we are. And now we're seeing a rollback of all of these things that we have accomplished. It's a rollback. So we've got to hold back this rollback. And to do that, we've got to vote. We've got to vote. The vote got us here, and the best way to protect the right to vote is to use it.
Hold back the road back.
Hold back the
I
road
like
back.
that.
Vote.
Yeah.
That's the best way to protect the right to vote. Get out and vote tomorrow, and if you can get others to get out and vote with you, vote. Let's let people know that you're just not voting for yourself. You're voting for unborn generations. You're voting for posterity, future generations. Make it happen for yourself as well as unborn generations. I thank you so much, Paris, and I promise you, if I am elected again, I won't be presumptuous. If I'm elected again, the fight will continue.
Well, and we wanted to continue right here with our microphones and our cameras as a part of it. We do thank you so much for being here, because we want to tell you more about 166. I want to talk about the mood of the country and perhaps impeachment. We want to find out more about that. We want to find out more about your plans, but most importantly, we wish you well. We wish you well. And
I appreciate your well wishes, and I want to close with this. You're listening to a station where you can get information unfiltered. That is very difficult to achieve over these airwaves. And you have a host who is knowledgeable and intellectual, who also understands that his duties exceed simply being able to push the buttons and answer the calls. He contributes. So I invite you to continue to listen to this station where you can get unfiltered knowledge about what's happening to you that you may not even know about.
Thank you so much. And now we're going to join it. We're going to join a friend of yours, Congressman Al Green. We're going to go tips from Gilbert. Coming up next.
This is your Congressman Al Green with an important message. I'm running for the new 18th Congressional District because of Trump and Abbott's racist redistricting. I fought back against this. Fighting against the establishment brought billions of dollars, health care, and 3 federal judges to this area. I'm Al Green. I approve this message because I need your support to continue delivering and fighting back against Trump.
Early vote, May 18th through the 22nd. Election day is Tuesday, May 26th. Political ad paid for by Keep Al Green in Congress.
This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, talk, inspiration, and prayer. Listen to my show every Monday from 11 to 12 on KWWJ 1360 AM, KYOK 1140 AM, KCOH at 1230 KCOH.com, Sankeet Radio at 95.1 FM, 1460 AM, and Latino Sports, KEYH 850 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then.
A Tip from Gilbert, Mondays 11 a.m. on 1230 KCOH, The Source.
5, 10, 15, 20. I'm JJ Walls with Sunnyside Dental, and yes, it's now been over 30 years that we've been providing quality dental care for our patients in the Houston area. It's now come to my attention that many of you that want to come to Sunnyside Dental have Medicare plans that we don't accept. Hold up, that has got to change. Sunnyside Dental is now accepting most Medicare dental plans. WellCare, Liberty, United Healthcare, Cigna, Kelsey Care Advantage, Amerigroup, Aetna, and many more. We're getting on board. Call Sunnyside Dental at 713-738-1999. If you have Medicare and would like to receive the personal touch provided by Sunnyside Dental, call us at 713-738-1999. We look forward to helping you achieve the smile that you can't wait to share with the world.
Got Medicare dental benefits? Call Sunnyside Dental 713-738-1999.
It's amazing.
And you know, the awards that we get are wonderful. We won several awards over this past year already, some national headliner awards, your local Texas Press Awards. But the things that...
Pulitzer Prize Awards?
Pulitzer Prize. Last year, we got Pulitzer Prize.
Yes. Yes, it's humongous.
And also, I'll give a shout-out this year, Pulitzer Prize, to my colleagues at the Dallas Morning News for architectural commentary. But the real rewards are when we get those letters from people saying, thank you for writing about this. Thank you for tackling this. I'm no more about where I live now because of what you've done. And that's what we want to do. Houston is a city that doesn't do a lot of self-reflection. And sometimes that's admirable. We charge forward, we build, we do new things, we welcome people. We don't ask where you're from. But sometimes we should ask a little bit more about where we, Houston, are. And where do we want to be, and are we getting there? And so that's part of the goal in the opinion section, is to get more people talking about Houston.
Well, you know what? They're talking. There's no doubt. We have a caller right now. Is there Carmen Nuncio? Carmen, are you there? Carmen. Miss Carmen. That was the name of my grandmother.
I'm here.
Carmen, can you hear me?
Yes.
You have me, Gilbert Garcia, with a tip from me, with Evan Mintz of the Houston Chronicle. What do you got for us today for Houston and Harris County?
Well, basically what I wanted to talk to you was about what's going on in HISD with our superintendent. Can you hear me?
We can. Tell us what's I mean, there's a whole lot going on, but what do you have to say? Tell us.
What I've got to say is I don't understand how this superintendent has gotten away with so many things that he has been doing that are harming our kids. I don't understand the things that he's doing. The majority of the things that he's doing are illegal, and yet he gets away with it. And I go to every board meeting once a month, and I tell him, you know, why are you doing this? Why are you lying to the media? Why are you saying, oh, everything's fine and dandy when it's not? He lies about everything and to make himself look good.
Wow.
Him and Greg Abbott.
Keep going, keep going.
Him and Greg Abbott are making billions of dollars off of our kids. And what hurts me is that our kids' education is at stake, and they do not care.
My goodness. Well, let me ask you this. Are you an educator by trade? Were you a teacher?
No. I've been a volunteer with HISD for 51 years.
Wow. Well, first of all, I salute you for your community engagement, for attending the meetings. And so, I mean, that's phenomenal. How are the meetings for someone like me? Listen, I want to know, but I don't know. And I'm going to ask Evan to see if the Chronicle has an opinion on this. But let me just ask you this. When you go to these board meetings, it's the board of managers, right? It's not exactly the HISD school board in these meetings. Am I right or am I wrong? I mean, this is a silly question, and I know I should know the answer, but where is the elected school board? Where are all those guys, and where do they meet? Do they even meet? Do you know?
Well, when Miles came in, he got rid of all of them. So right now we don't have a school board. It's only the board of managers that make the decisions, and basically they do whatever Miles tells them to do. So it's hard on us because we can't very well get anything done. He will not meet with us. I have asked when I first met him, I told him, we would like to work with you, sir, not against you. And he said, oh, yes, yes, yes. Well, he has not met with us once. He goes to the board meetings, and we tell him what every time I go and tell him, I talk to him in a nice way, in a respectful way. There's people that go over there and tell him he's a liar, he's a coward. I can't do that. My beautiful mother taught me, you respect people even if they don't deserve to be respected. So
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have you come on the show. I think we should do a show on what's going on with HISD, because I do know enrollment is down, but I don't know if it's down because demographics, meaning, there's fewer kids, or I don't know if it's down because of vouchers, but at the end of the day, I do know enrollment is down. Let me ask you, Evan, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but is there a position, something you've written about, and what's y'all's view on the whole HISD?
Our view is that we have to remember that all this happened in a larger historic context where we had a small group of schools that were consistently running into trouble, consistent failure in terms of school grades, and they just weren't educating kids and providing the movement up the economic ladder that you want to see. And the failure of this board, combined with struggles with providing special education services, combined with questionable behavior by board members and fighting on the board, or potential corruption on the board, there was an argument that a state takeover made sense. The problem that we've run into is that you have this top-down management from Mike Miles, which makes sense given his military background, but at the same time, he keeps moving the goalpost. Instead of just tackling this small group of schools, like, well, okay, we expanded the feeder pattern for those schools, and well, that makes sense. And now there's a whole bunch of other schools being brought in, and parents are frustrated about that because that wasn't part of the original deal. And so just looking at in terms of success or failure, if you listen to Republicans, the people who run our state up in Austin, the watchword for education is choice. If you are doing a good job, parents will be moving into your school district. If you're doing a bad job, you'll be able to tell because they are moving out. If you are losing parents, if you're losing families in HIC, which has been happening, that is a sign that something is wrong. And then just this past week, we saw the federal government say they're investigating HISD for failure to deliver special education services, one of the very things that triggered the state takeover in the first place.
Wow.
Do we need a state takeover for the state takeover?
Oh,
it's
my
just
goodness.
things are not going well.
Do we need a federal takeover of the state takeover?
Exactly, and this is from an administration that wanted to get rid of the Department of Education. They didn't think the DOE should be doing anything, but the fact that they're going to get involved here shows that things must not be going well.
I'm going to invite Mr. Miles. I don't know him. I have not met him, but I'm going to invite him, and let's just see, Carmen, if I can get, a little bit more transparency than you're getting. And you know what? I'm going to cut you off a little early only because I think I want to have you on the show. Would you like to be on my show?
Yes. Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Okay. Right now, I'm dealing with the Northside High School has been without an air condition for 2 months. And this is some of the things that he's doing to our schools. And with all due respect to the guy from the Chronicle, the schools weren't going down. He brought them down by getting rid of our good teachers and our good principals and just doing whatever he decided to do without,
well,
it was just his opinion.
You're going to have a lot more to say because I'm going to get you on the air. So I'm going to work with you on that, and thank you for calling in.
Okay. Y'all have a good day.
You too. We have, I think, Anise Parker. Mayor Parker, are you there? Anise Parker, are you there?
Hey, Gilbert. Good morning. How are you?
My mayor. I'm doing great. This is me, Gilbert Garcia, with a tip for me, with Evan Mintz, who, of course, we all know from the Houston Chronicle. And Mayor, first of all, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, but antsy. This is the point of a campaign where the ball is rolling around the roulette wheel. There's almost nothing you can do to change its trajectory. So I'm feeling great, but until the votes are counted on Tuesday, I will not relax.
Well, it's kind of like that song, I feel good, that's how you're feeling. But you know what, Mayor, I think I love the.
I'm not feeling that good. It's not over yet.
I understand, but I like the concept of the roulette wheel because soon it's going to stop turning and that ball's going to land, and we're going to know all that really tomorrow night. And I want to make sure I got to get this in that everybody knows, Houston and Harris County, that Election Day is tomorrow for the runoffs. And Anise Parker's on the ballot. There's also Republicans on the ballot. So please, no matter who you're voting for, of course, everybody knows I'm voting for Anise Parker, but no matter who you're voting for.
Well, there are other Democrats on the ballot.
That's right.
The most important thing is people just need to go out and vote.
That's right.
I really don't care which primary they're in. If they're voting in the Democratic primary, I really want them to vote for me for Harris County Judge, but just to show up and vote, because the turnout is going to be pitiful. And it means that every vote counts more. My opponent cannot beat me. Low turnout, however, can make me lose.
Very interesting point. Well, let me ask you, Mayor, I mean, at the end of the day, you've been mayor, you've been city controller, you've been a council person, you've been a leader in the community, you've been a community activist and so forth. You've got to be, at least in my opinion, one of the most prepared persons to really run and to serve as county judge. What do you think is the main difference in your mind between a county judge, who I guess is a chief executive officer of the county, and the mayor, which is the chief executive officer of the city?
That is a great question, and I have to answer that all the time. And that is, the mayor, particularly the mayor of Houston, is in charge in the city. The mayor is the chief executive. And every city employee reports to the mayor. The mayor hires and fires the police chief and the fire chief and the finance director, and up and down the line. The county judge is more of a chair of the board, and there are 4 board members who are the county commissioners, and they actually have the operating functions of Harris County. The county judge is more of an administrator. You are the presiding officer, but your job is to make sure that the workflow in the county moves forward. And a lot of the functions that the city has, again, I said the police chief that the mayor hires and fires. We have an independently elected sheriff in Harris County and the independently elected constables. The county commissioner's court sets their overall budget, but cannot direct them how to spend it. So the number of independent elected officials in the county, it's really about communication and collaboration and coordination instead of just raw authority. And that makes it a fundamentally different position. But the services that the county provides and the services that the city provide are fundamental to human beings being are able to live together in one place, which is why I find it so fascinating.
Well, I know, because I know you well, you've always been able to work across the aisle, as they say, all different people on the spectrum. So I think this is going to be like your strength, to be able to work with everyone and all those commissioners. So I think it'd be great. One more question, if you don't mind.
So.
Go ahead.
Well, go ahead and ask me another question. I hope so. As I get older, I do have less tolerance for just non-serious people.
And somehow there's a lot of that going on in Washington. But I'm going to give. I have one more question, but I'm going to see Evan. Is there anything you wanted to ask the mayor? Any comments you have for her? Real quick?
Evan's grilled me before.
Yeah, I've been grilling Mayor Parker for decades now, and I'm just struck by the number of people who. This is their first time having her on the ballot, whether they've moved to Houston recently, Harris County recently, or whether they are new voters who were not involved in, any election from, 2013 back through the 90s. And so I guess, I've got a question for Mayor Parker, which is, what is it that people are bringing to you who have never voted for you before that is different than voters in the past, elections in the past?
The issues really aren't different. It's where people get their information and the influence of social media. I mean, that is, I've been out of office 10 years. Last time I was on a ballot was 12 years ago. And and social media was there. There were bloggers there, but there's so many different information streams, and everybody's in their echo chamber. And it's, you know, how they interact, how they find each other, how they communicate around politics is fundamentally has fundamentally changed. And then the other thing is that, you know, politics has always been a blood sport, but the ugly side of politics I don't think has ever been as visible because again it couldn't be amplified.
Right.
Very interesting. Well, Mayor, I have one more for you, which is there's just one big difference that jumps out at me. If I'm not mistaken, the city of Houston is about 660 square miles or something of that amount, which is huge. But when you think of the county, it's probably, I don't know, I think it's like 1,200 square miles or something just enormous.
It's more like, I think it's more like 14.
Is it 14? I mean,
Yeah.
it's something humongous, right? And are you able, and I know you've been really one of the hardest working candidates I've seen. Are you everywhere? I mean, you got to be all over, but it's such a huge territory, a huge footprint.
You have pointed out a problem. I mean, it's, you know, if someone's running statewide in Texas, and let's go back to the Beto O'Rourke campaign where he made a big deal, rightly so, of, you know, he was going to campaign in every county, he was going to go everywhere, and that impresses people because what happens when you have limited time and limited resources is you go where the voters are. And we are doing that, but I'm also trying to hit as many different parts of Harris County. There are 34 cities in Harris County.
Wow.
And, you know, we maintain a map, and I'm trying to make sure that I, you know, touch every one of those, you know, do something in every one of those cities, you know, over the last 11 months. And so I can't reach everybody. I can't talk to everybody. And I do have to follow some of the conventional wisdom. I have to go where the voters are. But deliberately, I try to go to as many places. And I do a lot of my events is at what we call house party fundraising. So it's, or just house parties, not even fundraisers. So you're in someone's home and you have an opportunity. They can tell you about where the flooding is in the neighborhood and what the crime problems are in the neighborhood, and you can actually see it for yourself. So I'm doing my best to get the broad view, but it really is the kind of the 30,000 foot. People ask me all the time, you know, what is the first thing you're going to do as Harris County judge? And the first thing is about evaluating the staff that's there and who I need to make sure that I can get the job done, because any executive, but particularly any public official, the people who work for you they make or break you. So there's that. Then I want to visit, you know, every county facility as rapidly as possible, again, just to see where they are, how they're situated, who uses them, what their condition is, and then also circle back through all of those, the cities, to make sure that every mayor knows who I am, how to find me, because the one thing that is unique to county judge positions, and it is analogous to the mayor, is that in an emergency, but even in an emergency in Harris County, the county judge is over the entire emergency response for the county. And I want to, you know, when I was mayor, the Center for Houston's Future used to host a quarterly dinner, private dinner, where I sat with the county judges of the 4 surrounding counties, and we would hash out issues. We made sure everybody knew how to contact each other when there was a problem. And when you know each other, you don't deal with an emergency in the moment. Well, you do, but the best way to deal with it is before it happens. And so where you can give each other grace, you understand how people operate. And I don't think that that's been happening. And I want to do my best to reestablish that network where the local leadership that needs to be engaged when there's a problem is engaged beforehand.
Well, and it's the only way to build
but just vote. But if you're voting in the Democratic primary, hey, and Gilbert, I have to tell you, I was at church yesterday morning, and I wish I could remember the guy's name. One of your listeners came up and introduced himself and said he had first heard my name on your show.
Ah, how great! How great! Well, Mayor, just remind us: is this a correct statement, or Evan, that voters can vote at any poll? Is that correct for tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, so they can vote.
Thank God for technology.
Yeah, and so they can go to.
This was a very short early voting period.
Yes. Well, Mayor Parker, thank you for calling in, and we wish you Godspeed and tremendous success tomorrow.
And to anyone and to everyone, we don't celebrate Memorial Day; we commemorate Memorial Day. So I hope everyone takes a moment to remember why this holiday exists.
Amen.
And that is for our war dead. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Parker. Evan, let me just go back if you don't mind.
Yes.
So where can people get the information on the Cron about where to go? What's the website? Or do y'all have it up on your site, or is it Harris County Votes? Or?
I mean, the formal site is harrisvotes.com.
Okay,
if you go to
Harris Votes,
houstonchronicle.com, particularly tomorrow morning, once voting starts, we're going to have all sorts of information about where to go, about the polling show, the Houston Chronicle editorial board endorsements. You can print out our fact sheets on the candidates, particularly because you're not supposed to bring your phone into the voting booth. You can also make a custom list for yourself where you can go through, put in your address. It'll tell you who's going to be on the ballot, and you can click the candidates who you want to vote for so that you have all their names, because this is a short ballot in terms of Harris County elections where we have 90, 100 races on there because of the judicial races, but this is a primary runoff. It's just about a dozen for Democrats and Republicans, but we still want to remember all the candidates.
Well, one of the things that I had to correct the record for people out there that were responding about the Chronicle, and they were just assuming, well, they only endorse Democrats. That's not true.
Oh, no.
In fact, y'all do an enormous work to look at all candidates, and you make your choices about really who y'all think are the best candidates. But you do a lot of research. Y'all screened me and all. I mean, I remember all those things. So let's just go through. Over the past, I wrote that y'all have endorsed people like Orlando Sanchez.
Right.
And is he endorsed now?
Well, he's endorsed now. He's running in the Republican primary to run against Mayor Parker in the general in November, and he's an impressive candidate. He's been elected county treasurer 3 times. He was on city council. He's run for mayor, gotten real close a few times, and he's just someone who knows the issues, has been very direct about the need for fiscal responsibility in government, and he's come out and taken some bold positions when he met with the editorial board, talking about the value of looking at overlapping law enforcement agencies that we have in the county. If you want to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in county government, you've got to realize that we have this system of constables and city police and the sheriff's office where it's all overlapping, and they have overlapping responsibilities, and no one would have made this from square one. If you ask someone to make a law enforcement system for Harris County today, it would not look like this. It's a weird fluke of history, and Republicans are often very reluctant to say anything that could even come off as potentially critical of law enforcement these days. But if you look back in the 90s, Republicans were very critical about this system, and you had state legislators holding hearings about the roles of the constables' offices. You had a few rural counties getting rid of their constable agencies entirely. And to have someone come in and say the county budget is tighter than it's ever been because we have given raises to law enforcement, we have this revenue cap from the state. If you want to find efficient government, this is going to be a big thing to take on. It's going to be tough, but he's at least willing to bring it up as a topic of conversation, and that's really valuable.
And you've endorsed other Republicans like I had said Tom Ramsey, Steve Raddick, and so this concept of you only endorse Democrats is false.
Right. Well, right now it's a primary, so we're endorsing Democrats in the Democratic primary, Republicans in the Republican primary. But if you look back to 1972, the Houston Chronicle has never endorsed a Democrat for county judge in the general election. It's always been Republicans.
Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. And part of it is because we have a bias towards incumbency. We really think if you're good at the job, there's not a reason to fire you. So we've just been endorsing folks through, been some good county judges. And if you look at the presidential elections, that's usually where people go. It was Republicans from Lyndon Johnson all the way through the first Obama administration, endorsed Obama in 2008, Romney in 2012, and then it's been Democrats 2016, 2020, 2024. But a lot of that is because Houston is a city of trade. We are a city of growth, of immigration. And if you are thinking, well, free markets, free people, that's usually been the Republican position. But Trump changed that. We've had a political realignment. And so the Houston Chronicle editorial board position is kind of in this no man's land. There's nobody who really aligns where with we want to be, where with Houston is. You have your sort of more free marketer Democrats, your pro-growth, they call them abundance bros. I think that the Houston Chronicle is pretty well aligned there. Your old school Republicans who recognize the value of pro-business also means you want to welcome people from around the world to work in your businesses, to start new businesses. You want that fresh ideas and new energy coming in. That's something that served Houston well. But it's no political party really has that right now, particularly not in Texas.
I think I know you live this, but it seems to me, I think the people of Houston and Harris County need to know what you just said. Everything you just said about, and from these presidential candidates, from Lyndon Johnson here, I just think people need to know they got to correct the record, that really you call it like you see it.
Yeah.
Rather than, well, we're just I'm just going through the BS, but a liberal wing, this and that. Clearly, you're not.
Well, often I feel like that liberal might be a good description, and kind of that European political science way of thinking about being a liberal. Yes, free markets and free ideas and free people. Is it chaotic? Is it hard? Yes. It is tough to live in a city where you're going to have a whole lot of people whose fundamental values and religion is different than yours, but that has been the secret sauce for America for coming up on 250 years.
What a great thing. Well, I just think that would be a little story or something to just let people know just the facts.
Yeah.
Just the facts. And going back for a second, I also just think that we're going to break that record, and I think we're going to have a Democratic endorsement for county judge.
We'll see. We'll have to have them, presuming that Parker and Sanchez make it through their primary runoffs. We're going to have them side by side at that Houston Chronicle editorial board table, and we're going to ask them what they're going to do if they win in November.
Very good. Well, let me ask you this. One thing also you've written about this before because I've seen it before, but I think one thing that the public doesn't realize is how much diversity there is on the whole editorial board.
Right.
And all the people that are part of the process. I don't know if board's the right word. But at the end of the day, how many people there are making this endorsement? And how do y'all do it? Do you just, getting around in the room? I'm just making it up. And if there's secret sauce, don't say. But at the end of the day, I'm just curious. Do you vote? I mean, is it secret ballot? I mean, and who are all the people on there? And what are their types of backgrounds?
Well, there are 7 people on the editorial board. And I like to think of it almost like a judicial panel because we have our own perspectives and our own ideas, but a lot of it is trying to apply the historic values of the Houston Chronicle editorial board to new circumstances. We're looking back at what the precedent is, and if we're going to deviate from that, well, we've really got to explain why. But there's me. I'm a lifelong Houstonian. I've got a background, spent a brief amount of time in the Harris County Prosecutor's Office as a baby lawyer. I spent time at Arnold Ventures. It's a policy think tank, a philanthropy, but mostly I've been at the Houston Chronicle writing about Houston. We have our deputy editor is Raj Mankat. He has a background in urbanism. He was at Site Magazine, if you remember, that was an architecture magazine. He really understands the issues of what it means to live in a city and how do we build our city, and thinking rigorously about how you make a city that serves all of its people. You have Lisa Gray, who's our op-ed editor. She has been a Houston journalist forever. She went to Rice. She wrote a little bit in D.C. before coming back here. She's been at the Chronicle. She's been on the Houston Press. She's been on podcasts. She's all over the place, and she knows Houston, I'd say, better than anyone else out there. We have Regina Lankenau, who is actually from Mexico, but she's a writer here. She went to Princeton. She's an incredible journalist and cares deeply about our city and reporting on the parts of Houston that reflect where most people live, how most people live their lives, but don't always make headlines. So trying to poke at that. One of the things that she is tackling right now are conditions for renters in Houston. Majority of Houstonians rent. Half of all people in Harris County rent. But if you look at what it is the politicians talk about, it's typically about homeowners, your property taxes, and things that reflect that part of Houston, but it overlooks the challenges for people who rent their homes. And so trying to dive more into that and how justice of the peace courts impact housing. We have Leah Binkovitz, who has a background at the Kinder Institute. She's actually getting her doctorate. She's writing a thesis on the rodeo. So she has this incredible depth of knowledge and this sort of academic's view on Houston and Texas history. And I don't know if you've been reading our editorial series calling Declaring Independence about Houston and Texas as a place that really embodies the values of America as we head up to our 250th Declaration of Independence celebration, but also pointing out how a lot of politicians in Austin, they want to narrow the scope of Texas history. They want to make it fit in neat partisan talking points. Say, well, Texas is a place that's always been pro-business and small government and pro-growth. Like, yes, that is part of it. We also had cowboys who went on strike because they didn't like their working conditions. We had Hispanic laborers going on massive strikes in San Antonio. We've had the farm workers movement. We've had immigrants coming across the sea from Germany after the revolutions of 1848, founding socialist communes in the Hill Country. That's also part of our history, and it's weird and interesting and fun, and all of us are downstream from that. And historically, Texans, even conservative Texans, could look at this history with a bit of a smile on their face and say, yeah, Texas is weird and complicated, and that's what we love about it. But now there's this fear of our own past, and we shouldn't be afraid of our past. We should be honest about it and reflect on how it led us to where we are right now.
That's right. Even if it's the good, the bad, and the ugly,
Exactly.
The point is learn from it, and you don't repeat it. But I think we got to learn from it to know where we've come from. I mean, it was a tough time. You said a couple of things. First of all, I know Raj. He is first class. And,
yes.
The great thing about him, and Raj, if you're out there, I'm not going to fanboy you, but I guess I am. You've always been accessible. And I think that's a big part of it, just to be accessible. And I could say Lisa Gray is tremendous. I mean, she's just sharp as a whip, but she's pleasant. She's just fantastic.
She's great.
She is so great. And Lisa, I know you may, if you're listening, I'm not, fanboying you either, but at the end of the day, it's true. You've been nothing but kind, but you're also very sharp, and you'll ask the pointed questions. And so I know those two, and they're fantastic.
They're great. And we also have Nick Powell, who's a longtime reporter, first from New York, then Galveston, now here in Houston. He's had a real great focus on local politics and also water issues, which are more and more important in our state. And also Sharon Steinman, who is our videographer. And if you look at those Pulitzer packages that won, the one on railroad crossings, the videos she make are a critical part of that. And particularly in the year 2026, what Mayor Parker was saying, that people get their information in ways that they didn't before, and a lot of that is video. And so we're making sure that we're not just writing, we're making video, we're doing short form, we're on your Instagram, we're on your TikTok, we're on your Facebook, we're on your Twitter. We want to be on any screen you're looking at.
So let me ask you this. This may sound like an unfair question, but I don't mean it to be. So how does one prepare to be on the editorial board? I mean, how does that happen? Obviously, they're all well-rounded. Obviously, they're very knowledgeable. But does someone say, I'm applying for this?
Yeah. You have to apply for the job. There will be vacancies, and we will hire people to be on there. And a lot of it is, one, you have to be a great writer. That's an important part of it. But it's people who care about public policy, care about people, and care about Houston, and have the ability to write an opinion that isn't necessarily their own. Sometimes you'll find yourself saying, the editorial board position is that, LNG exports are good. And that's a pretty obvious position for being in Houston. But you can have someone who's a real environmentalist who thinks that they don't want any new fossil fuels. Like, well, can you write a convincing editorial in the voice of the Houston Chronicle editorial board that has a position that's different from the one you feel in your heart?
Very interesting.
And so that's a challenge.
Well, let me ask you this. So when you're there, is there a lot of give and take, and people make their case? I've never been in a jury, but I've seen 12 Angry Men. I mean, you think about a jury where people make their case. Is that how it works? If someone says, "Well, I make a case for Mayor Parker," or "I make a case for Abby Kamen," and then people say, "Well, I don't agree with that." I mean, how does it? What's the give and take?
We have these big conversations when we come to hard decisions. Sometimes we already know what the position is, so it's applying the president's opinion to new facts, and it's pretty straightforward. And we'll talk about, well, what's the right way to talk about this? What's the right language? What's the best argument? Who's the audience? Who are we trying to reach in this? But sometimes we'll get these more heated conversations around endorsements, around just editorial board positions, and not just, what should the position be, knowing everything we know, but what is the right way to talk about it.
Very interesting. And are you like, this is maybe an unfair question too, and I don't mean it to be, but are you like the Chief Justice and you assign the, now that we have this opinion of a big case, I'm going to assign it to this person? I mean, do you assign these things to different writers, or do you generally write all the main ones yourself? I mean, how does that work?
Mostly assigning to writers, but also they have kind of informal and some formal portfolios that they take on. And so it's their job to track what's going on, and then at our meetings sort of bring up, this is something that's happening in my world. But also I'll have things that catch my attention and say, hey, this is in your portfolio. What do you think of this? Should we write about this? And every now and then something big will break, and we say, we got to get on this really quickly so we can help shape the conversation in a smart way for Houston. You write this, can you turn it around in just a couple hours?
Very good. A couple of hours. Is it that quick?
Sometimes.
Wow. That's a lot of pressure. Not to mention, that's just, that's a lot of intensity.
Well, and there's also having to strike that balance between, we're writing something with a quick turnaround to shape the conversation today, and then there are pieces where we are spending a lot of time doing our research, doing the reporting on the ground, getting out into the community, talking to experts to really have a sort of full take on something that provides a perspective and information you would not have had otherwise. But sometimes the best thing we can do is to take a whole bunch of stories and reporting that's already out there and thread them together in a way where maybe you had not seen it as a Houstonian, and we can make something relevant to Houstonians that otherwise just seems like a bunch of disparate stories happening all at once.
Very interesting. I think it's just fascinating, and I think this is another, I don't mean to be probing at all, if you don't mind.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Well, I appreciate that. But I think that people need to know, which is, people don't realize how much work you put into these endorsements. And, is a cycle, it's like before an election, you start like a year in advance. I mean, you are so, y'all are interviewing so many candidates.
Right.
And all that takes prep time before to get the questions that you want to ask. Then comes the, you're videotaping it. Then I don't know if you go back and look at the video, and then you discuss, and then you got to write it. I mean, it's got to be almost like a whole 9-month process or something. It's a lot.
And the real challenge is those down ballot races for judicial candidates, because for members of Congress, for Senate, a lot of reporting's already happening on them. There's a lot of information that's already out there. There isn't a lot of reporting on the judges. And so we call up a lot of lawyers. We talk to former judges. We really have to figure out what's going on in some of these races. We look at the data and stats out of people's courtrooms to see, are they moving cases? Do they have a big backlog? And sometimes they do have a backlog, and they can explain why. They can say, I was on a 3-month murder trial, and that led to a backup. Or they can say, yes, I go slowly, but I don't have a single lawyer complaining because I give each case the attention it needs, and they know that.
Very interesting.
And we do background checks on people. You'd be surprised to see folks who have criminal records who they don't disclose. And then just also ask around, largely in the partisan community. Republicans know things about other Republicans, and Democrats know things about other Democrats. And trying to figure out what's going on there is always very useful.
That is fantastic. That is really in depth. It seems that people just need to know that you don't just make these things like, well, that you really are putting in the time, and you're doing the research, and you're being thoughtful. I think I congratulate you.
Well, thank you. And, my real hope is that, you can get your endorsement slate from the LGBT caucus or the C Club or anyone else. But with the Houston Chronicle, we explain it. We write it. And you can read our justification for it, and then you can say, I agree, I disagree. And I've had folks who, we wrote strong endorsements saying don't vote for them, and they go like, well, all the reasons you don't want to vote for that person, it makes me want to vote for them. Like, well, at least we gave you the info you needed.
Well, that's very, very interesting. We have another caller here. We have Rochelle Carter.
Hi.
Rochelle,
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes. I'm sorry I'm outside. I was putting up signs.
Ah!
Can you hear me okay?
You're doing the work.
I'm
actually outside.
You're definitely working hard there. And you are a candidate for Fort Bend County Judge?
Yes, I am. We need to make a difference in the change on that commissioner's court. So, yes.
And you're the Democratic candidate.
Yes, I am.
You're in the
the
runoff,
primary.
in the primary,
Right.
Yeah, okay.
In the runoff, which is
And the runoff, excuse me.
tomorrow.
Well, let me
Yes.
ask you this, Judge. First of all, what are your top 2 or 3 things? I haven't met you before, but I'm so glad you called in the show. What are the top 2 or 3 things that you want to bring to the whole court there?
Oh, well, fiscal responsibility. We need to make sure our tax dollars are being spent wisely and being accountable for them. Public safety. I've been living in Fort Bend County for over 24 years, and everybody wants to feel safe. And we can't do that unless our first responders have the money that they need in order to make sure that they retain and they have the equipment that they need. And so fiscal responsibility, public safety, and infrastructure. We are a growing county, and we need to make sure that our infrastructure is keeping up with growth. So those are my 3 priorities.
Way to go. And so how's it looking for you? What's the latest? And go ahead. I'm going to let you go. Go.
No. I was going to say, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
If you, I really don't pay attention. To me, I feel that, I'm going to make it. I'm going to be the nominee. I don't know, but what I am, if I could tell people right now, please go out and vote. Please look me up, RochelleCarterCampaign.com. I feel like I want to be the people's champion. I have never ran before, but I just got sick and tired of what I see is going on. We put people into office and they seem to be not accessible. They forget why they're put into that seat. So that is why I'm running. I'm running to change things for the good.
So you're just like sick and tired of being sick and tired, and so that's why you're just getting.
I hear from a lot of people out there. Yes.
Yeah, and so you're just getting up and you know what? I'm going to go make change. That's great. Well, how's the turnout so far? How's been the early vote?
Early vote has been steady. I didn't get to see the numbers for Thursday and Friday, but surprisingly, they're good. In my opinion, again, this is my first race that I'm running. So we need people to come out. Tuesday's the last day from 7 to 7. Come out and vote. Please come out and vote.
And is it the same as Harris County where you can vote in any polling place?
No, that was early voting. So that ended Friday. So now you got to find out exactly where your polling place is.
Okay, very good. So thank you for and if people want to look you up real quick and find out where your victory and celebration is, etc., what's your website? Give it to everybody here.
It's RochelleCarterCampaign.com. Again, that would be Rochelle, RACHELLE, Carter, CARTER, campaign, CAMPAIGN.com.
Wonderful. Well, we wish you great success, and I hope that you call back and come back on the show. And we got to know more about what's going on in Fort Bend because it is growing by leaps and bounds.
Yes,
there is no doubt.
Yes.
I've seen Missouri City grow. I see Sugar Land grow. It's just unbelievable.
Yes.
So please call in again, and we wish you great success.
Thank you. Please go out and look me up. If you haven't looked me up, please go out and look me up on my campaign website, and I hope to earn your support. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for calling in.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. And so what's interesting is how much they're growing. In fact,
absolutely.
The city of Houston really is not growing. People don't realize.
No, the city itself is pretty stagnant. Though it's interesting, you can see all this new development happening, and a lot of it is we are building denser homes, but bigger homes. And so you will get a townhouse that's, say, 2,000 square feet and has 1 or 2 people in it, stacked next to each other, versus an old home that replaced an old bungalow, which would have been 1,600 square feet with a whole family in it.
Wow.
And so it is a reflection of society's growing wealth, that people expect bigger homes to live in, but also it shows the need to make sure that our city code keeps up. I thought it was great that we got a call from someone running for Fort Bend office because the Houston Chronicle editorial board has really been proactive on making sure that we are weighing in those other county races in Fort Bend because we know that's where a lot of growth is happening. She's running against Dexter McCoy in that Democratic primary for county judge. He's been an incredible candidate. He's the one who earned the Chronicle's endorsement in that race. He's a current county commissioner, and he's just very young. He's in his early 30s. He's got a lot of energy, a lot of passion, but also a lot of really good ideas about making sure that, say, the county government provides better maternal leave and paternal leave for employees, making sure that there are more community amenities for these growing neighborhoods, and also seeing if there's potential to get Fort Bend better plugged into mass transit systems.
Well, I think that's my
That's
my
your bread and
cue.
butter,
That's my cue. But ultimately, I think that's fantastic. And I just want to make sure people realize the Houston Chronicle not only is digital, but y'all still have a massive printing press.
Oh, yes.
And you print for everybody. I
Right.
mean, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. It's amazing. And are y'all getting a new press, or tell me about what's going on with the new
So
press?
we just got a new press down at East Chronicle. If people joke that print is dead, like, well, we just got a big new printer. And a lot of it is that if you need something printed, a lot of those big printing presses are gone. And also there's push to do better efficiency and consolidation. So we're printing Houston Chronicle, also San Antonio Express News, Austin American Statesman. If you're getting a New York Times, from here to Denver, odds are we've printed it and it gets shipped out. It also means that because we're printing so many things, it's kind of hard to stop the presses and get some late-breaking news in for the next day's print edition. So if an Astros game goes late, if election results don't get resolved until 2 in the morning, the best place to go for that is the website. That is constantly up to date. And we really are thinking digital first because that's the way people consume their information.
And are you going to have reporters on the ground at all the different parties and events? I mean, it's hard to cover everything, but I know you do your best that you can. Are you going to have people at different things watching the results and talk to the candidates all over Tuesday night?
For the newsroom, and they operate separately but in parallel with the opinion section. But I know that the newsroom has reporters on the ground at all of these parties. We're going to be watching in the opinion section the results. We're particularly going to be paying attention to that Paxton-Cornyn race and the Republican runoff to see who is going to be the Republican nominee for Senate, because I think that is going to be one of the most interesting stories on there. Also, the race for Railroad Commissioner, for the lack of a better word, nut job, this guy, Beau French, who other Republicans, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, said he's too anti-Semitic, too bigoted to be a county GOP chair, which had been his previous position. He's now running for Railroad Commissioner. And so we're going to see if he's able to make it through that runoff and win. If so, that says some really sad things about the state of the Republican Party these days.
Well, and also just people statewide. I mean, that they're just mean-spirited.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more anti-Semitic type stuff going on. Obviously, I'm a Catholic, I'm Hispanic, but a lot of my Jewish friends are just, they're worried that somehow it's coming back, this hatred. I mean,
I think that America, particularly post-World War II, after the Holocaust, and I'm Jewish, did an excellent job on a bipartisan basis across all sorts of civic institutions to push anti-Semitism and other forms of bigotry out of the spotlight. We have a First Amendment. We cannot make this stuff illegal, but we can say we don't have to put it in our newspaper, on our TV show. We don't have to have someone like this representing our institutions. And so that if you want to be this way and talk this way, it has to be in sort of the shadows of society. What social media has allowed is for these people who were previously forced into shadows to talk to each other, to talk to other people, and get a big megaphone that otherwise, NBC, CBS, CNN, newspapers would never have given them. And it used to be that media institutions had a sense of civic responsibility. There's this story about this fascist magazine from the 1930s called the American Mercury, which was spreading hatred and bigotry and anti-Catholicism and sort of all your typical hatred from the 1930s. And at a certain point, all the magazine distributors said, well, we're just not going to distribute this. If you want to send this to your subscribers, you do that on your own. We're not going to take your money. We're not going to help you out. We have a larger obligation to society. Facebook doesn't talk like that. Twitter doesn't talk like that. TikTok doesn't. All these social media accounts seem to have no sense of larger civic responsibility to say, hey, if you want to spread your hatred, you do it on your own dime. We're not going to help you out. In fact, there's a company that sold services to websites to protect them from denial of service attacks. When someone uses computers to make a whole bunch of attempts at access your website and causes it to crash. And this has been in 2016. The CEO of the company realized that they were selling their service to Stormfront, the neo-Nazi website. And he woke up one morning and said, we're not going to sell this to them anymore. We're not going to help them do this. And he put out this letter saying who has the duty, who has the responsibility to say who gets this sort of protection, who gets to speak out, who gets to control what's on the internet. And he goes, I don't think it's the government. I don't think it's necessarily the private sector. It's a really hard question to answer. But right now, this morning, I am answering the question of who is selling this service in my company to this neo-Nazi website, and we're not doing it.
You know what? Touche. What? That is so great. What courage.
Exactly.
Especially today. What courage. I salute them. Because it just seems to me that in this day and age, it's like okay to be a racist. It's okay to be, and it used to sort of be in the shadows, and it wasn't okay. But now it's like okay, but you know what? It's not okay.
It's not, and I really wish that these social media companies took more civic responsibility. But the problem is that their incentive is to get people to click things, and we know that negativity and outrage is an incredible driver. And so you have these algorithms that reward that, and that's very frustrating.
Wow. Well, you know what? It's hard to believe. It's been an hour. Can you believe it?
I can.
I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Conversation.
I want to make sure I say to my good friends at Laredo Taqueria, I say Laredo Taqueria. Some people say Taqueria Laredo, tomato. But it does have the best carne guisada. And I am really disclosing, I don't get paid for any of that other than sometimes they'll bring me a taco. And you know what? That's all I need. Evan Mintz, you're such a gem. You are a real Houston treasure because you care about.
It means a lot coming from you.
You care a lot. And that's the first thing. And you give everyone a fair shake. And that's another important thing in your role, right? So, I mean it. You are a Houston treasure and Harris County treasure. I hope you do this for a long time because you know what? We need you.
Well, thank you very much, Gilbert. And I hope we keep doing this interview and these podcasts a long time, too.
Well, thank you, my friend. And you got the last word. What do you want to say to Houston and Harris County?
Go read Houston Chronicle, HoustonChronicle.com. Follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok. Even if you don't want to subscribe, which you should, you can see what is happening in your city, where you live. Don't worry about the national news. Worry about where you live and the physical location of where you are.
Houston, Harris County, go get the Cron. It's got it going on. And I didn't know I was going to rhyme, but I did. There you go. Evan Mintz, thank you for joining us. This is Gilbert Garcia saying we're going to have a lot of FIFA, a lot of soccer coming up. I've got Chris Canetti from the whole FIFA. He's Mr. Soccer. I got Arlette Molina, who is doing all that fanfare stuff on the East End. I'm going to have the head of the Houston Dash. So we're going to be ready, and we're going to be saying, go, in a big way. Gilbert Garcia is saying, we'll see you next time. All right, Houston, Harris County, this is Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer.
Watch and hear my show on YouTube, Facebook, RSS, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify.
And follow me on social media. See you then. This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer. Listen to my show every Monday from 11 to 12 on KWWJ 1360 AM, KYOK 1140 AM, KCOH at 1230 KCOH.com, Sankeet Radio at 95.1 FM, 1460 AM, and Latino Sports, KEYH 850 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then.
A Tip from Gilbert, Mondays 11 a.m. on 1230 KCOH, The Source.
Everybody's talking about the high price of eggs. Well, I don't know much about eggs, but I tell you this. If you want great chicken at a great price, how about Chicken Plus, 6210 North Wayside? Let's hear what his customers are saying. Michelle writes, Chicken Plus has some of the best fried chicken and best fried okra in the city. We stay about 45 minutes away, but the drive is definitely worth it. E. Max says, the chicken is seasoned so well and every bite has a special crunch. It's my go-to chicken spot when I want homemade fried chicken that's always good. Now that's what I'm talking about right there. Great fried chicken, okra, rice and gravy, desserts. You're going to find it all at Chicken Plus, 6210 North Wayside. You don't have time to make the drive? Hey, no problem. You can order Chicken Plus on DoorDash and Uber Eats. You better do what you got to do to get your hands on some of that great fried chicken, the best fried chicken in the city. Great chicken at great prices. That's Chicken Plus. See you there.
WeServiceUnlimited.com. WeServiceUnlimited.com. 833-937-3788. 833-937-3788. Well, hello! It's getting hot in here. You don't need to worry or have no fear, 'cause we serve. We serve you. Fix anything you think is nothing we can't do, 'cause we serve. We serve you. We serve you. Oh, we serve.
Big job, small job. Call We Service Unlimited, 833-937-3788, or go to WeServiceUnlimited.com.
All right, we are the source. We are moving here this morning. We are rolling this morning, and I got to tell you, I'm excited. You know, when I've been telling you about Community Music Center, and of course we talked about the classes, we talked about the summer camp. We talked about the summer camp activities that are taking place over at the Community Music Center of Houston. But there's so much more going on. I spoke with Akua Holt from the Community Music Center, and she gave me a list of things, and I was preparing for the political broadcast, and I got these things on my plate, and I said, whoa, why don't I just slow down for a moment, back up, pump my brakes, Speedy, and get in touch with the people over there and let them talk about what's happening over there. And generally, when that happens, I'm very fortunate. I can get a predictable outcome. And this time was no different, because I've got on the phone somebody who is involved at the deepest level, my friend, your friend, community of Houston's friend, and a lover of music, Dr. Ann Lundy. Dr. Ann Lundy, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I am happy. How you doing, sir?
I am blessed. I am. I'm happy with you.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. I said, I'm sorry. I'm good. I'm happy with you. As the kids like to say, I'm Gucci. I don't know whether they're saying that anymore or not, but that's the truth. Well, you got a lot going on now on this coming Sunday. I guess we should start there, because you've got a student spring recital. But why don't you tell us about it instead of me telling about it? Why don't you tell us about it?
All right, be glad to. This is our Community Music Center of Houston. We always have recitals for our students, and we have one in the fall and in the spring. So our spring recital is this Sunday, May 31st, at 3 p.m., and it's going to be right here in 3rd Ward at St. Philip Missionary Baptist Church, right on Emancipation, 3602 Emancipation. So if you know where, like, Emancipation Park is and El Dorado, it's just a couple blocks off of that. So it's at 3 p.m., and all of our kiddies, ranging from I call them my little babies that are going to play Twinkle Twinkle, on up to kids that are going to sing different songs. And we've got kids that have been playing more advanced pieces. So we've got some high school kids that are playing like classical concertos, and we've got singers that are going to be singing. I remember Miss Tweed Smith. I know you know Miss Tweed Smith.
Yes, I do. Yes.
All right. So she's been working with her singing group, and they're going to sing one of the African songs and sing one of the great spirituals also. So we've got different kinds of music. So it's going to be something for everybody. Whatever kind of music you like, there'll be something there for you.
Yeah. Now you've got to pre-order tickets online.
Well, this is kind of low tech, so we just pay at the door.
Okay, yeah.
It's just pay at the door, and this is to help our education and our kiddies. So it's pretty nominal fee. It's $5 for students and $10 for adults, and it's just a way of letting people know that you can support kids that are taking music lessons, because unfortunately, as we know, a lot of our school programs, especially I live in Third Ward, especially Third Ward, they're just not supporting our community the way I want them to. So this is where Community Music Center of Houston comes in, and we were able to, offer the kind of lessons that our kids deserve.
Yeah, respectfully, I'll say not just the way you want them to, but the way, honestly, I think the way they should. The way they should. If education is truly going to uplift everybody, then we have to cover not just the technological aspects and the quote hard sciences, but the arts, those things that gratify the spirit and the soul. And
yes.
and when I see these cuts coming, and they go into
yes.
those areas, I find that disappointing because it just seems to be another swipe at taking at dulling our emotions, dulling our senses, if you will, particularly our inclination to reach towards beauty, and beauties to be found in music, fine arts. There are places like Akua Fayette, who is here. She does fine arts, and Michelle Barnes. And when you begin to lose focus of those things in our communities, I think we all are just a bit. We're a bit better having those things than not, I think, and so the Community Music Center goes a long way toward doing that. So while we got you here, why don't we inform some people and remind other people about Community Music Center, what you're doing there, what you're doing for the summer, the band camp, and all of those other things. You've got quite a few things going. I spoke with Akua Holt offline, and she was telling me you got a dedication going on for, you're going to be honoring certain members of the community.
That's right.
Certain
right.
women,
Absolutely.
I think. Is that it? Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Well, we're going to, we've been doing this for a number of years. I believe this is our 11th year where we have what we call a musical legacy project, an annual legacy project. And we're going to be honoring some of the Black women that have really made music so important to all of us. Some of them are music educators. These great Dr. Gloria Quinlan, if you don't know her, she's just terrific. Ina Zellers. We've got to remember Miss Ruth Stewart from TSU, and I just, even though she's passed on, I just remember what she did with the students at TSU and how she really helped them develop their vocal skills. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be one of the honorees too. Ed Luddy's going to be one of the honorees. So we're looking at Black women that have made music so important in our community.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's going to be, can I say the date? Sunday? Yeah, that's Sunday, June the 7th.
Yes.
At 4 p.m., Sunday, June the 7th, at the Great El Dorado Ballroom. So that's 2310 Elgin Street. And we're accepting donations. Hopefully they're generous donations, because as a small nonprofit, we always need generous donations. But we'll accept any level. But we're bringing in this case, we're bringing in some great sisters who are called the Fiery String Sisters.
Yes, I saw that. Yes.
Yeah, the Fiery String Sisters out of New York. And they play this, when you hear them, they play this kind of jazz. I mean, I'll just say jazzed up because I'm a little bit older, but jazz, hip-hop, violin and piano, and it's just fascinating to listen to them, because violins and other string instruments, they can play all kinds of music. So while I grew up in mostly classical, and then I kind of got into church music a little bit and a tiny bit of jazz, but, just a little bit. But these sisters are expanding even more and more what strings can do.
Yes.
Just, forgive me for a minute. When I was at the Beyonce show last year or whatever, I remember that there was a sister who was playing violin, and she was playing this dynamic, beat and just really doing great things. And I was reminded that, again, the violin can play all kinds of music. I see sometimes I'll be looking online and I'll see them playing hip hop violin and
Yes.
tapping and playing. So there's all kinds of things that, that string instruments can do. So we're looking forward to the Fiery String Sisters.
Now, that was you say the Fiery String Sisters, right?
They're
Yeah.
our guest artists. They're coming in.
Yeah.
And like I said, Sunday, June 7th at
Yeah.
4 o'clock.
Yeah.
4 o'clock at El Dorado.
Now, that was your instrument, right? That is your instrument, right? I mean, I'm saying was. The cello and the violin?
Well, in my case, it's the violin
Yeah.
and its bigger cousin called the viola.
Viola, that's what I was trying to remember, Dr. Lundy. Yes, yeah.
Kind of like a bigger violin. If you can imagine a choir singing like soprano and then alto, well, viola's kind of like the alto of the string family. So it's kind of mid-range. It's not quite as high as a violin, but it's I just love it because it has this rich, beautiful string, mid-level tone. I love playing it, but I love the violin too. So
Yes,
whichever.
yeah. Well, I know you are making a great difference over there in the Community Music Center of Houston, and I also see that your fortunes are running in the company of our friends over at El Dorado. You guys, you guys are joining together on projects, and
That's
so
right. El Dorado is terrific.
So
And
what's the
Shelley-
sound like? I mean, for people who may not have been there, what is that room like? What is there a special feel to that room? For those who might need a little history on the El Dorado Ballroom, can you speak to that for a moment itself?
Okay, well, I just love playing there because the restoration that they did. I know it's part of it. It's part of the Project Row houses and so forth.
Yes.
But the restoration that they did to the El Dorado, because I'm old enough to remember when they used to have great musicians come in and they would play, and then it fell into disrepair, and then it wasn't upkept, and it was just sort of sitting there. But then a few years ago, they were able to get some grants and bring it back to life, and it is just great. If you haven't been there, you need to come check it out because El Dorado is very much keeping the music traditions of Third Ward and beyond. Not just Third Ward, but certainly people come to Third Ward because El Dorado's there, and it's right across from Emancipation Park. They're doing all kinds of music. I have seen music ranging from classical to jazz to hip hop to low rider music. I mean,
Yes, yeah.
You name it. They have that music there.
Yeah. And I know that low rider. That would be one of Tweed Smith's favorite categories.
That's right. It was with War. People don't remember. Some people don't remember that, but Tweed was the one.
Yeah.
Female singer with the great band War.
War, yes, indeed, and recently had that star on Hollywood as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
on
Hollywood
great.
Boulevard.
I was so glad that to us, so we could watch it.
Yes, indeed. Look, the other thing I would ask you about it, when we were at PABA, the Progressive Amateur Boxing Association, Reverend and Mrs. Ray Martin, they did so much to revitalize that area over there. They took a warehouse that was also in disrepair, and they made it a place for young people to come, to keep them off the streets. This was the day, back in the day, when we used to refer to that as juvenile. You try to keep you tamp down what was known as juvenile delinquency during those days, and provide programs. And they provided a boxing program, and we watched kids come to Dowling over there at the time, called Dowling, and I think the address was 3212 Dowling. I'm not certain. It's been a while, but we watched them come in and take part in that boxing program, and because they had an anchor, they had that central program. It turned into like a community gathering place. And then Mrs. Martin introduced the arts and taking children out on excursions and on field trips. And that it just became a sort of cultural center itself. And then Deloitte Parker came in, and the next thing you know, that area over there in Third Ward was just booming with the excitement of children learning new things. And I want to know if you're getting that feeling over there. Are you feeling some of that now? You've been over there a while. You attract musicians. Are you seeing any other younger people and perhaps some older ones come in now interested in music?
Absolutely. We are seeing, because of Project Row Houses and their work and so forth, they're offering like a piano class that they register online through Project Row Houses. I teach a free violin class if you register online. It's a group class. And so they have all kinds of things that are going on for the kids, for the families. I just think, again, Project Row Houses, where, as I said, it's Sunday, June 7th, 4 o'clock. That's where we're going to be celebrating, bringing in the fire and string sister. I mean, it's great. I'm so grateful that Project Row Houses and has helped to revitalize, El Dorado.
Yeah.
Can I tell you about a summer camp?
Please do.
Okay, great. Because on Monday, June 8th through Friday, June the 19th, which is Juneteenth, of course. So Monday, June 8th through Friday, June the 19th. And this is at a different church, but it's still close to the University of Houston area.
Right.
At Boynton Chapel Methodist Church, we have our 2-week music camp.
Yes.
It's the address is 2812 Milby Street. 2812 Milby Street. And the zip code is 04, so it's still in the hood, 77004. And what we do here is that we take kids ranging from beginners, little babies, like 4 or 5 years old up. We really do take them quite young on up through, again, high schoolers that are wanting to really delve a little deeper into the world of music. What we do at our public schools and so forth is terrific, and I really support it. But many times, I remember when I was teaching school, they're understaffed, they don't have all the funds, they don't have all the kinds of things that we'd like to have. So a camp like this, a summer music camp, it goes intense. We really stress how to teach the kids how to read notes. It's one of those things where I know I'm a little older, but I'm one of those people that believes that improvisation is important, playing by ear is important. But if you could add that on to be able to learn how to read the notes and count the music and figure it out on your own, I think that is such a great way to round out your music education. So we really stress, teaching them how to do it. And I always say reading music is just another skill. It's not better, it's not worse, but I look at it like, reading a book or whatever. Our little ones reading a book and so forth. So, we learn how to count music.
It's another, It's another tool, a useful tool, and it's foundational, isn't it?
It really is. And as I said, forgive me for being an old music teacher, but I'm just one of those people that believes that, well-rounded music education should include, improvisation, a little bit of learning how to just try different things, along with learning how to read music, learn how to count music.
Sure.
So that somebody puts a music sheet, like right now, as a musician, that's what I do. I get paid. I go to this thing. They put the music in front of me, and they go, 1, 2, ready, go. And I'm expected to be able to play it.
Yes.
Because I spent all those years learning how to read music, I can play it. I'm not saying it's perfect, but, and we always practice. But
yes.
That's the advantage of learning how to read. That way you can continue to have new music. You can learn new music.
Yes. And in answer to your question, yes, while you didn't mention it earlier in the conversation, I will tell you that over the past 2 weeks now, in a run-up here, we have been talking about the summer camp, grades K through 12. And I guess we should give them the address. I know over there it's at Borden Chapel, but it is
That's
on
right.
Milby, 2812 Milby Street.
12 Milby, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And
yeah.
one of the reasons, it was just a few years ago, this is another one of those beautiful churches that was designed by the great black architect John Chase. It's a lovely church, and their pastor is great. And it's one of those things, again, where there's just so many black neighborhoods
Yes.
that we don't know much about.
Yes.
Because until a few years ago, I went to school over at U of H,
Mhm.
and right, if anybody knows where the music department, that side of town, it's kind of close to I-45.
Yes.
But right between U of H and the freeway, there's a little black community.
Yes.
And a few years ago, I didn't know anything about that black community. There are black, it's an older community. I can
Mhm.
see that, as freeways come and go. I'm one of those persons that, of course, I use the freeway and the highway and so forth. But you go back and look at what freeways have done to our black community, you can see that
Yes.
sometimes it's divided us in half, and those kinds of things. I can't change it or whatever, but they're just this is a wonderful little black community, and this church is it's great. Pastor Linda Davis, she's great. So, again, I just encourage people to come out. Like I said, it's a 2-week camp, Monday, June 8th, Friday, June the 19th at Boynton, 2812 Milby Street. And one of the things that we do is, because these are little kids, is that we go out and play for the seniors, okay? And they always love us. Like, we'll go to the Third Ward Multipurpose Center,
Yes.
or to Hester House, or some place where we've got some wonderful seniors, and they always love having the kiddies play for them because, seniors and little kids, I just think there's a special link. I remember how I used to run behind my grandmama. I just I just loved being with my grandmama. And
Yes.
whatever she was doing, I wanted to be around. So sometimes with seniors and these little kids, they just really enjoy each other.
Yeah, it's sort of like special. It's sort of like kindred spirits in a very special way. They need each other. They reinforce each other. It's like they can stand against the world. You put a granny and a toddler together, and they can stand against the world. It looks like,
I agree. What we get from our elders,
Yes.
and their help and their knowledge, because they have so much knowledge.
Yes.
So much knowledge.
Yeah, it's a loving relationship. I'm glad to see you're carrying on all of these things, and we do so much enjoy talking with you because what you have is needed. It's needed for the community. It helps feed the community spirit, and so we thank you so much. I'm on with Dr. Ann Lundy, ladies and gentlemen, and she is a builder here in this community, a pioneer. First black woman, correct me see if I got this right, first black woman to conduct the Houston Symphony Orchestra. Did I remember that correctly?
That's
Yes,
true. Going way back in the 89, but what we did was our orchestra, Scott Joplin Orchestra, which is a black orchestra in the Houston Symphony.
Yes.
We performed on stage out at Miller Theater in 1989.
Yeah, and look at you. You had at that same Miller Theater, you gave a series of wonderful performances about the Motown, about the Philly sound and outdoor theater. It was just great.
I love that Philly sound because they use strings along with the funk. I mean,
Yes.
I just really love that combination of funky sounds along with strings.
Yes, indeed. You did. It was a great production. You and all of the wonderful people over there. And I don't want to forget the Scott Joplin Ensemble.
That's right. There's the Scott Joplin Chamber Orchestra, and as I said, it's a community orchestra made for black folks. And what we do is we work together. I'm so blessed that they come to rehearsals because they've been working all day and taking care of families, and they still come to rehearsals at night. So I'm just grateful.
Yeah, and some of them are teaching music,
Many
aren't
of
they,
them
professors? Many of them, okay. Yes,
Many
yes.
are music educators, and that is so important because, as kids, we were at the universities and we studied our violin or our cello or our trumpet or, those kinds of things.
Yes.
And, this gives a us a chance to remind ourselves that we are music educators and we're still musicians. We're still performing musicians.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Look, I want to be sure before you leave, you have told us everything you want us to know until the next time we talk, which will be later on this week and later on during these series of engagements that you have coming up. I do not want you to hesitate to call us. We love letting the community know what's going on. We just think
Can
that
I tell
this
people
is...
how they can look us up online?
Please do. Please do. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So the long name is Community Music Center of Houston. But if you go to just the initials cmchouston.org, then you can look us up and see what's going on. cmchouston.org. So that's Community Music Center of Houston. And you can check us out, see what we have going up. We have that's where you can register if you want to go ahead and register a child. I mean, we've got lots of great things coming up. So please check us out.
Absolutely.
Phone number. I'm old school. Phone number. 713-523-9710. 713-523-9710. Like I said, I'm old school, so I still make phone calls.
I'm rocking with you. No doubt. I thank you, my sister, and thank you. And love to everybody over there. And when you come back, we'll talk about the community choir and so many other things that are happening over at the Community Music Center of Houston. We do thank you so much, Dr. Lundy. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You do the same, my sister. We are the Source. I am Paris. It's 28 minutes after the hour, and we thank you for being here with us as well.
The Morning Magazine is the show that has Houston talking. Houston talking.
I'm Paris Eley, inviting you to join us on The Morning Magazine from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on KCOH. The Morning Magazine, where we choose to keep news stories factual, commentary informative, and conversations productive. As you might guess, it's a work in progress. Tune in and see for yourself. You're invited to join us with your thoughtful analyses and considered opinions as well on topics meant to address community needs and solve our common problems. Join me on The Morning Magazine.
The Morning Magazine with Paris Eley. Weekday mornings, 8 to 11 a.m. on 1230 KCOH, The Source.
WeServiceUnlimited.com. WeServiceUnlimited.com. 833-937-3788. 833-937-3788. Well, hello! It's getting hot in here. You don't need to worry or have no fear, 'cause we serve. We serve you. Fix anything you think is nothing we can't do, 'cause we serve. We serve you. We serve you. Oh, we serve.
Big job, small job. Call We Service Unlimited, 833-937-3788, or go to WeServiceUnlimited.com.
I am Lawrence Allen, candidate for State Representative District 131. The political climate has changed dramatically in Texas and America. The Supreme Court has just gutted the Voting Rights Act. And when Trump tells Texas Republicans to jump, they ask, how high? I am asking you to vote for me, Lawrence Allen, an experienced fighter, to represent you in Austin. I've been an HISD principal at Jones, Yates, and Dowling Middle School. As a member of the State Board of Education, I fought State Board members when they tried to whitewash our history in textbooks. In fact, I helped develop ethnic study courses for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and helped to award over $100,000 in scholarships to students. I am Lawrence Allen. We won't go back.
Vote Lawrence Allen for State Representative 131. Early vote May 18th through the 22nd. Election day is Tuesday, May 26th. Political ad paid for by the Lawrence Allen Campaign. Informative, entertaining, inspiring. It's the Jackson Political Report, hosted by veteran political strategist Ron Jackson. Ron will discuss local, state, national, and international politics. The show features commentary, guest interviews, and audience dialogue. The Jackson Political Report, this Saturday morning, 10 to 11 on 1230 KCOH, The Source. KCOH Houston, Legacy, Civics, and Soul. 1230, The Source. Informative, entertaining, inspiring. It's the Jackson Political Report, hosted by veteran political strategist Ron Jackson. Ron will discuss local, state, national, and international politics. The show features commentary, guest interviews, and audience dialogue. The Jackson Political Report, this Saturday morning, 10 to 11 on 1230 KCOH, The Source.
All right, yes indeed, yes indeed. You got to check with our guy, Ron Jackson, to see how things are going. And I thought I'd give Ron a call so Ron could give us a rundown on what's going on out there. The weather's cooperating, Ron. Things are looking differently out there for voters. I'm happy for the people who will be able to get out and vote. How say you, my brother? What's happening?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm out and about right now. I've got some clouds over in the air, but they don't look like rain clouds. And tomorrow is a low projected day of rain, but it's I'm not going to use the description of the word sad, but if we have to be talking about a drizzle or whatsoever when we're talking about voting, that really is, I would say, a sad analogy from. We have not yet been able to understand how powerful that the vote is. I heard Congressman Green, and you're talking this morning, and he talked about the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and talking to Congressman John Lewis, how it touched him so emotional.
Yes.
Just the various different research stories that I have done. It's just beyond me the courage of Omega Evers. We're talking about in these small southern towns with leadership by the sheriffs who are members of the Ku Klux Klan, and these all-white societies who are just trying to stop the progress of African Americans. And I'm talking in the 60s. I haven't even been. I had a guest on my show Saturday, Dr. Guzman, and he had a book that was called because it just came out, Justice on the Hill, and they dealt with all of the political movements on Prairie View University, from which it was first started in 1876, and they're coming on their 150-year anniversary this year. What fascinated me was that I was unaware that Prairie View was built upon a slave plantation owned by the Kirby family, which sold for about $15,000 after emancipation. So the state bought it, and that's how Prairie View got their start. But he went from the 1876 with all the tribulation to Waller County in 1979, when the students in Prairie View went all the way up to the Supreme Court because of the decision, and the Supreme Court granted them the ability to vote while they were at college, to say that that is your residence, that the Waller County elected officials did not want that group of college students, specifically African-American college students, the right to vote over in Waller County. They won that particular right, but of course, it continued, up into the to the 80s and the 90s, all the way into the Sandra Bland era, with the political turmoil with students at Prairie View University called Justice on the Hill. So I relate that, and it's many other stories as we see that's happening in real time right now. we talked, you and I, about 2 weeks ago on your show or either on my show on the Louisiana Cali decision that gutted Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Immediately, we began to see various different states, specifically 7 states, after the Louisiana decision, begin to just take and start to redistrict congressional districts that targeted African Americans. In Tennessee, in Mississippi, that Congressman Green was talking about, Benny Thompson. Then in South Carolina, targeting Congressman Jim Clyburn. And of course, we know in Louisiana, the Congressman Cleo Fields redrawing and drawing him from out of his district, all because they want to be able to control the Congress that sets the policies and to get the particular laws in their particular advantage for what they want. So the fight continues, and while we turn out in dismal numbers, I understand, and a lot of people don't understand. I think that Congressman Green did a great autopsy when he mentioned that President Biden was in office, had the presidency, you had Congress, and you had the Senate, but yet you couldn't get the various different bills that was promised, the voting rights bill, the policing bill. None of those came out over into fruition, and that it could be one of the areas of why people are not voting, because, we hear continuously the same talking points. Oh, your vote doesn't matter. Oh, they're going to do what they want to do anyway. Those are excuses, and those are cop-outs because of the power of the vote and what it means, and to the extent that they will go to stop you from voting. And they have done that since we've been going from the 13th, the 14th, the 15th, to the 26th Amendment that happened right down at Prairie View. That 26th Amendment in 1971 reduced the voting age from 21 to 18, and that was just a horror for them down there at Prairie View, with those students having the ability to vote at 18 years of age. But let me get off this soapbox.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's a good soapbox. It's a good, and it needs these stories do wonders for reinforcement, man. Because so many of them are being omitted. Wherever we get the opportunity to hear them again and again, just reminds us that there is more to us than is written in the libraries here. That there are other stories that have yet to be told in full. So I thank you for that, actually.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I love about KCOH. The heartbeat of the city for over 75 or so years. I mean, that continuously to inform and entertain, where you can plug in and get this particular type of information, not just to satisfy the FCC laws on public affairs, that you have to have a public affairs show for 1 hour, which you could be talking about anything within that hour, but pertinent information that's coming out.
Because Ralph Cooper could take 1 hour and he could cram history into that 1 hour, and you feel like you feel like you're halfway to your way on the degree in history, because he's got lots of stories with lots of points and information, and he is a young, vibrant source for living history. He's lived a lot of years, but he's got a young mind, and he brings that information.
But in speaking over on that too, some of the ancestors, I have to call them now, because many have transitioned, that was with Ralph, like the Judge Lloyd Wells.
Yes,
a lot about C-Boy Vaughn. At this particular time, those kind of people are needed. Specifically, I'm talking about from what the NAACP and the Congressional Black Caucus is putting out over into the atmosphere, which I agree with them too. Let's see, can we get some good trouble and put some trouble in the water? NIL money is all across the United States. What if there is talk and movement of saying, congressional districts from out, that's trying to take the voice from African Americans, the black voice, out of the Congress of the United States to have their people represented by their own representatives. If you want to do that, okay, let's not get our players to go to these particular southern states. Let's go to Michigan. Let's go to UCLA. Let's go upstate. Let's just not go down south. Let's start that conversation.
Yeah, that's interesting because I would like to hear that plan. I've been hearing about it, and I heard that NAACP spokesperson Dr. Derek, what's his name? His name escapes me right now, but I know the NAACP is of a position that our young people should be involved in some kind of way. But I'm not familiar with all of the details of it. But I'd sure like to hear more about those plans. I want to hear about anything that includes us fighting back without blowing ourselves up in the process. So I would like to hear about some of these plans, and I'm hopeful that these bright minds are in the same room and on the same accord, and so that we can have a plan that fights back, because there's more. We're not seeing an expansion of our opportunities. We are looking. There are people who are trying to expand our opportunities, but there are people who are working just as hard to curtail them, and we have to fight back, push back on that.
But Ralph also has told the story of how the power of sports helped integration.
Yes.
And, that was centered around Eddie Robinson and Bear Bryant when Alabama was playing, I believe it was USC.
Mm-hmm.
And USC came down, with the African-American players in the skilled positions at running back, wide receiver, and beat up on Alabama in Alabama.
Yeah.
And the story goes that, they were in the stands saying, "Hey, Bear, get us one of them."
Oh, yes, yeah. Now, I remember those years. I remember Bear Bryant was central to that. I remember when I read about, before I came to Houston, I was reading about Darrell Royal. Wasn't that the coach over at
Texas.
Yeah, yeah. And I was reading about, of course, I had no knowledge of this part of the country at that time. And I remember when college campuses were changed. They were a large part of the scene. The sports world was a large part of the mechanism used to make this a more open society, or at least cracking it open a little so other advancements can take place. But sports played a central part in that, absolutely. Look, Ron, so tell us about the polls, man. You went out there and did. Then you gave us some good history. What's happening out there? What kind of feel are you getting out there as you move around?
Friday, the last day of early voting, 20,000, and I'm talking about from the Democratic side, turned out to vote. So closed out, close to about 69,000, 70,000 Democrats voted early. Now, if we compare that to the March 3rd primary, that was about 363,000 voted. Of course, we had a longer early voting time period also of 12 days during the March 3rd primary, which we had 5 early voting, and tomorrow being election day. So, I haven't dove in specifically down into the 18th too deep yet on these numbers. I'll have those basically coming up probably Wednesday or through Saturday. I'll have a better dive on it on my show. But Congressman Green, when you were talking about the 18th congressional district, that we have to remember that 18th has part of Fort Bend County in it also, which will be a very key part to the election. So right now on the total votes in Fort Bend right now, Fort Bend has 586 6,000 registered voters. So with Democrats and Republicans both combined in this runoff election, the total votes are 41,334. That's early voting votes, and about 27, close to 2,800 in ballot by mail. So about 44,000 total votes, with 17,633 Democrats and 23,701 Republicans. I hear people making a lot of chatter about Democrats being outvoted. No, that's not particularly the case. Runoffs, it all depends on what particular election it is and what particular type of significance does it have. Now, in the Republican side, with over $100 million spent in that Senate race, which is the most expensive United States primary Senate race in history.
Yeah.
I'm combining Tallarico and Jasmine in there also with the Republican spending from Wesley Hunt, John Cornyn, and Ken Paxton. The most expensive Senate race in primary history here. So that's why their numbers are different. They have more on the line. People are voting that interest over there and spending that kind of money. So that's why they're driving out, about 6,000 more votes over in Fort Bend County. And, of course, over in Harris County, it was probably about a 25,000 some margin in the number of Republicans with more votes in the primary than it is for Democrats. But that's neither here nor there. They're going for those top races, the Senate, as I just stated, and also for the Texas Attorney General, Chip Roy, and the MAGA Mike Mays, or so. So that's what that particular turnout is about. But again, the 18th congressional district on the Democrat side, that's the highlight race of the runoff. So in the March 3rd primary in Harris County, there's about 72,000 total votes, with Christian Menifee receiving 37,000 votes in March 3rd, and Congressman Al Green 27,000 votes. But then when the Fort Bend piece came in, where Green was quite strong there, Green received about 14,000 votes, and Christian received about 6,000 to 7,000 votes in Fort Bend, which, when you combine Fort Bend and you combine Harris County, that turned it into a very close race, probably about 2,500 to 3,000 votes that separated the two. So with a low turnout, I'm looking for some similar numbers. Might not be that. It won't be that high, but it will be that close.
Okay. That's an interesting take. Well, we've got another almost 27, 30 hours or so. I can't do that fast math. but for certainly about 26, 27 hours. And we will be, those polls will close and we'll find out what it is, but
yes.
But
one other thing, Paris, I heard Congressman Green, when he was talking with you, there was one point in error that he made. You do not have to go looking for a specific precinct tomorrow.
Oh, yes. Okay, I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
We still have county-wide voting in Harris and well as Fort Bend County. Now, doing early voting for the Monday through the Friday, the 18th through the 22nd, we had about 48 early voting places. Mm-hmm. Those typical places from the Sunnyside Multi-Purpose Center, Acres Homes, Hiram Clark, all of those facilities will still be open. But in your neighborhood, they're going to be a total of 163 places to vote on Election Day. So, you sometimes in your neighborhood, or at a church, or at a school, those may be some additional places. So if you see somewhere that's got a line or whatsoever, go to harrisvotes.com and just look at a location, and it might be just one right around the corner from your home. And usually those places like that on Election Day, because people are unaware that some of them are working, they usually go to the early voting locations. You may not only have but 60 to 100 people vote at that particular Election Day location all day long. So you're in there in 5 minutes and you're out.
Yeah, that is good. That is good. As a matter of fact, I think I'll close out today with talking about some of these locations. And so people who live in these different areas, if you hear me call out your location, there may be something near you. So thank you, Ron, so much, man. And of course, we'll check with you tomorrow to see what's going on out there. We know this is your specialty.
I'll call in and give a report to see what's going on. One thing, it didn't come out. I haven't heard anything, but this was on the first day of early voting.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Kathy Bluford Daniels called me because she was having some issues at the Kashmir multi-purpose center when she went to vote.
Okay.
This particular the law that, and it's a suppression law that the Republicans passed about, and it's on that voter ID bill where if your name does not match the name on your voting bill, this is what Trump wanted on that Save America Act.
Yes, I do.
To get that purge. Well, she had trouble because Kathy Bluford Daniels was on the rolls, and one said Kathy Daniels. So there was a Republican election judge there, and Kathy is the elected official, so she knows her rights. So they got over into it, and of course, she had to call over into Harris County to get that solved. But that works in conjunction with the law that Senator Paul Bentoncourt wrote last year that says that if there's a challenge, just a challenge by an individual, doesn't have to be an organization, with an election official that happened at Harris County, that's who they're aiming over. Who all these laws out of Texas are aimed at. That the state can come in, the Secretary of State can come over in and take over elections. So this was something I thought I was going to see a little bit more of, so that they could rustle that control of the elections from the Harris County clerk, Tanisha Hudspeth, and let the state come in and do it for the midterm elections in November. So these are the kind of things that from what we're dealing with, and when people say that your vote don't count, they're going to do anything with it that they want. No, when you don't vote, you are a vote for against yourself and a vote for the opposition.
All right, Ron, I want to thank you so much, and I look forward to talking with you tomorrow, my friend. I do thank you so much for taking your time to come here and share that information with us, and enjoy the holiday, and remember the fallen soldiers. So you take care.
Thank you. Great show.
All right, my brother. Thank you. It's 5 minutes before the hour. Couple of things I want to do before I get out of here. I'm going to be out of it at 1 o'clock. And let's see, what I want to do is to tell you to be sure to get out and vote. I promised you I would talk about these vote centers, and I'm going to do that. I'll do that right now, as a matter of fact. Some of the vote centers you can go to: Acres Homes Multi-Service Center. If you're out there, you can go to 6719 West Montgomery Road. This is tomorrow. Your voting places: you can go to the Eley ISD Administration Building, 4250 Cook Road. You can go to the Anderson Center for the Arts out there on Wallaceville Road. you can go to Bayland Park Community Center. That's at 6400 Bissonnet Street. Over in Bayshore, how are you, my friends out there? You can go to Bayshore Baptist Church, 1315 Spencer Highway in LaPorte. And you can go to the Christ Family Church of Houston in the Kids Sanctuary. That is in Cypress, Texas, over there. And in Clinton Park, well, in Clinton Park, you can go to the main multipurpose room at the Clinton Park Community Center over there at 200 Mississippi Street. The Crosby Community Center. Good morning out there to the Crosby Center, Community Center. Hello there, Woodrow Barrett, you and your family and all of the Barrett Station people. Over in Crosby, you can go to 409 Hare Road and get your voting done. Fallbrook Church Community Center Gymnasium at 12,512 Walters Road. These are some of the places nearby where you can vote tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. But go online, go to harrisvotes.org. You'll be able to find where these different places are. Prairie View A&M, you heard Ron Jackson talking about that. Prairie View A&M University Northwest, 9449 Grant Road. Pleasantville Elementary School, 1431 Gilhorn Drive. And I've got my favorite places. You guys know that. Sunnyside Health and Multi-Service Center, go there. 4410 Reed Road in the auditorium there. And let's see, over here, Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, Fellowship Hall, 3826 Wheeler Avenue. And then in the building there, you go on campus, they'll direct you to it. It's in the Fellowship Hall. And the Wyndham Houston near NRG Park Medical Center, another one of my favorite voting places, 8686 Kirby Drive. Now, those are just a few of the places. Go online and you will find your own. But I want to leave you reminding you that, as someone pointed out this morning, it's not about celebrating Memorial Day. It is a day of commemoration. It is actually a day of remembrance. And at Memorial Day, I think about soldiers with whom I served. I think about those from my neighborhood. I remember Ronald Brown. We grew up together. I remember Lieutenant Clarence Roussel, Butch. Butch was killed in Vietnam, as was Alfred Powell, as was Thomas Rhodes. Thomas Rhodes was met his death in Vietnam, and that's just to name a few. But I wanted to do that. I did that at the beginning of the show this morning. This is a holiday that began Memorial Day in 1868. The country established it as a federal holiday in 1971, originally known as Decoration Day. The holiday started with communities coming together to decorate the graves of those who died during service. So, for those who serve, you veterans out there, we thank you for your service, and others who are in the community like you, who spend time with families, who may know families who are yet in mourning for the relatives and loved ones and friends that they might have lost. I thank all of you, and I thank you for being here with us this morning. But in remembrance of the brothers, sisters, and parents who never returned home to their children, the men and women who wear the uniforms, do the work, and put in the work. We thank you so much for putting it all on the line. Everybody gave something, and some gave all. That's a very worthwhile slogan, and it is the truth. Tomorrow morning, we'll be here with you. We'll be here with you tomorrow. We'll be looking for you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here with us.
In life's most difficult moments, comfort matters. At Lord Edward Memorial, we believe every life is a blessing worth honoring with dignity and care. With a combined 60 years of experience, our compassionate staff walks beside your family with faith, respect, and understanding. Lord Edward Memorial, serving families with grace, compassion, and heartfelt care. Visit us at 6677 Rookin Street, Houston, 77074, or give us a phone call at 346-446-6675.
Hi, I'm JJ Walls with Sunnyside Dental, and yes, it's now been over 30 years that we've been providing quality dental care for our patients in the Houston area. It's now come to my attention that many of you that want to come to Sunnyside Dental have Medicare plans that we don't accept. Hold up, that has got to change. Sunnyside Dental is now accepting most Medicare dental plans. WellCare, Liberty, United Healthcare, Cigna, Kelsey Care Advantage, Amerigroup, Aetna, and many more. We're getting on board. Call Sunnyside Dental at 713-738-1999. If you have Medicare and would like to receive the personal touch provided by Sunnyside Dental, call us at 713-738-1999. We look forward to helping you achieve the smile that you can't wait to share with the world.
Got Medicare dental benefits? Call Sunnyside Dental 713-738-1999.
I am Lawrence Allen, candidate for State Representative District 131. The political climate has changed dramatically in Texas and America. The Supreme Court has just gutted the Voting Rights Act, and when Trump